Hello and welcome everyone back to the Rival Challengers League. We're here for day number 2 of the playoffs, and it's time to start talking about Group B. Spoo, we already blasted through Group A, and we sadly had to say goodbye to a couple of teams in the process, and we're about to do the same today in Group B.
Oh yeah, we've already got 2 teams that have qualified for that finals on day 3. Going to be taking that lion's share of our prize money. And honestly, just the swagger of being able to say that inside the East Asia postseason, you are indeed the best team of the region. We said goodbye to 2 teams yesterday, and we'll do the same thing today. But we'll also crown 2 more heroes of the day. And I'm super excited to kickstart because even inside Group B, we've got amazing teams here waiting in the wake to play the games for today.
This is very true. I'm going to give you all a recap also of just what went down yesterday, and then we're going to start talking about what's going to go on today. So let's revisit a bit of history. Wow, I mean, it is history, but it is so fresh, so recent, and the wounds have yet to heal. We had to wave goodbye to a couple teams there in the lower bracket. We started off with Reject and Rival Esports taking wins in the upper bracket. Ultimately, they faced each other in that upper bracket final, and Rival Esports was the first team to go ahead and qualify for day number 3. That's when, Reject went down to the lower bracket where they ended up facing Team Aqua, who had just eliminated BB. And Reject took a 3-0 down there to be the second team to make it on to day number 3. But now we have to bring things into the present and also start talking about the future a little bit. This is Group B.
Oh yeah, I mean, kicking things off, we got Na'Vi versus Momotaru. This is one of our latecomers that came inside Season 4, just blasted their way onto top 4 and just made a miracle run to qualify at that last second. We love to see them. Effort result have just been, we've been making puns about their team the entirety of the season, but it's true that the effort of their, the results of their effort have really paid off here. They've made it here inside Group B, and they're one of the highest seeded teams. I think they're seeded 4th in the whole region, and they're going up against Feasible Gaming 0 to kick things off. But I do believe that our first matchup of the day is going to be Na'Vi versus Momotaru, and this is one that you cannot understate. Na'Vi is not necessarily the greatest favorites of here. Momotaru have made some serious dark horse attempts here at this tournament.
It's very true. We've seen Momotaru show up pretty much every single month, or at least do their best to do that, make it through into the top 8, go through those open qualifiers. Real true grinders, because we haven't, seen them make reliable appearances in the top 4, which in the qualifying phase was the way that you got to avoid having to do the open qualifiers every single month. But they've made it here. They're in the top 8. It's unfortunate that they've got to face Na'Vi to make it on, but such is the nature of distilling a top 8 down to a top 4. We'll see them go head-to-head versus Na'Vi, and it's all going to kick off on Hideout.
Yeah, this is not a map that I think a lot of players kind of really like. I mean, it's one of the new maps that joined us in this map pool this year. And in East Asia so far, we've seen a mixture of a lot of really interesting comps here, I think. I think Angelo is just a major contested pick here across all the East Asian teams. For some reason, they're still favoring it really, really highly. We already saw some of the best Angelo performances ever yesterday by some of the open qualifier teams. Namely, KY really, really impressed me. But so far, in this Hideout draft that's already underway, the bans have already gone through. I love to see the fact that Kid is banned out, and on Na'Vi's side, as that first pick, they've taken out 3 of the biggest hard hitters. They've left the Gene in, and Momotaru snapped that up immediately. Na'Vi, though, they respond with the open map comp. Just really simple way of thinking about the map, and both teams are truly still very flexible in the way that they can pick in this draft.
Okay, Momotaru going ahead and snapping up an Angelo for themselves as well. I think that this Gene makes a lot of sense as a first selection, just so strong, can be absolutely lethal. Na'Vi do have like a couple of ways that they could deal with this. They can jump away with Brock, which as you can see, they are already ready to do by the gadget selection. Ryohei can definitely pop a super, but that's about all he's able to do in terms of Gene defense. Na'Vi can get some spawnables up here if they want to. Really, the biggest way to counter out a Gene would be Mr. P, and I'd say it's most viable as a last pick. They would be lacking like some range capability versus the Angelo, and it's not very much an East Asia pick, but it is one that stands out to me here.
Oh yeah, Momotaru, the Jaeyoung was denied from them, and so they kind of have to lean back to the old school version of Jaeyoung in the form of that Max, which does leave a little bit of that sort of full range vulnerability, which Na'Vi is going to be capitalizing on. Momotaru, I mean, they've got a pretty decent aggressive comp here, but I've got to say this is a much more difficult comp than, you know, it looks like a decent comp, but in practice, the reason why in this day and age we don't see Jean and Max paired up anymore that often is because with brawlers like Byron and Gus, with the shots are just so big, and with a Brock to support it and open up the entire map, it's really difficult to effectively play Max on Purple Paradise, even into 3 sharpshooters.
Folks, this is where Group B begins. It's Na'Vi versus Momotaru. And by the end of 5 matches today, we will have taken these 4 teams and produced 2 worthy contenders for the playoffs day 3 tomorrow. Let's kick it off here on Hideout. We'll see what Na'Vi has to offer in terms of these long-range matchups. Momotaru are already getting super aggressive around the right side. They've got the Jean and Max pairing. Having that speed on Jean is essential for getting pretty much a free pull. And they're already pressuring Kuru back quite well. Here's the speed, not going to find its way onto Jean. No, instead going to pinch out that top left. Ryohei falls, and Momotaru, who already had that blue star, now make the lead 3.
They're going to try and keep pressuring here on that right lane. Achapi is the weakest brawler on that roster. It's the way to beat it. Oh, is this big magic hand going to be missed there out by Momotaru's roster here? They do have a max speed here, though, which they're going to be committing here. The target seems to be Ryohei, almost lasering him down here. Jean making a big dive there onto that right flank. They're trying to pinch out Achapi there. But meanwhile, there's a skirmish there happening on the top side of the map. The Angelo has been completely pushed back there by Kuru.
Kuru's still staying on this position, and he's dodging the shots really well. Still has to shrug off a couple more from Angelo. Here's the emergency speed out the back right corner from Momotaru. They have that synergy that they wanted. They're still taking some hefty damage along the way, but all they have to do is stay alive. It's a 1-star difference at the moment. They're also respecting Ryohei at mid, who's taking a moment also to farm up his HP once more. Here's the final push from Momotaru. They overwhelm the left lane. They just got to stay alive. Pursuit of a kill on the right side is good. Onto Achapi. It's a 5-star lead. He's got to stay alive, and he's got to help get a kill over here. 5 seconds left. Kuru now pushing in on the right. Unsuccessful. Na'Vi overwhelmed, picked apart at the end, and Momotaru get game number 1.
It's almost as if Momotaru want me to take back the thing I said about Max being difficult to play into this. Well, I mean, they did get the best lane assignment possible, and I think, honestly, on the side of Na'Vi, they got a little bit unlucky there. They've got some portrait cams here coming in on the side of Momotaru there. It's a bit of an unknown player at the moment. I think we'll get a clarification from the admin side to see who that is. I think it's going to be Nyadesu, which... guys, I'll be real with you. I mean, I'm Asian, but not all Asians can speak Japanese, and I can't read out these 3 players, so I can't confidently tell you which brawler he's even playing, but I'm sure he's a ghost in the darkness, and he's having a jolly good time.
Yeah, well, he certainly looks like a ghost. He's just barely illuminated by the light from his device, and he's looking super menacing. That's Aura right there. Momotaru, not only have they shown up in a difficult matchup, but they've also gotten the first game victory. They're also pressuring in Brock on the right side. That's going to be a kill for Momotaru, and they're up by just 1 star at the moment.
Full retreat for them on that right lane as well, and we're back to an equilibrium inside the mid with only 1 minute left remaining there. Na'Vi, they are making some moves. They're tearing out more of the map inside of the mid, and they're slowly trying to aggress here on that right lane. But it's the Max that's just so difficult to go after. Kuru's even going to commit the super there onto him, but just such an easy phase shifter for the Max to use that, just get out of that trouble. They are starting to encroach deeper and deeper and pushing it all the way in, but a great Jean pull just basically shuts down any idea of aggression here. Ryu is going to be desperate to try and find an advantage here. Can't even get the tap there on the Angelo, and this push from Na'Vi should be coming to an end.
They've got at least the tools that they need to continue pressuring, and Ryu's got that super, can be used for additional damage and survivability, and Cruz continued tapping up these shots on the left side. But they have to be mindful of the Jean super, which is soon to appear. That's 1 kill for Na'Vi. They need to make it 2, though. They're still behind by the breadth of a blue star. 10 seconds left. Momotaru fighting for survival right now. Long-range pull attempt, but no good. There's another kill. Cruz going for the huge super, but it's not going to go. go to anything. Momotaru get one more on the board and a set win.
And a clean one at that. I mean, completely proving the haters. I mean, I'm the hater here, and they're kind of completely proving it wrong here. I mean, the fact that Max is such an old school comp, an old school idea, but it still works into this situation. I mean, I think it just makes perfect sense here. They found the vulnerability inside of what the Brock was, and they just kept targeting it the entire game. I'm just surprised that I didn't see Kuru attempt to make a lane swap at any point to put the Byron instead onto that Max. I think it's a slightly easier matchup for him if they really want to play out the range, and then just put the Gus instead on the Angelo and try to find the weakness in that position, because Na'Vi, they just don't really seem very warmed up here.
No, not really. I came into this with the expectation that Navi would pretty much bowl over Momotaru, that we could get away with not entirely knowing which player was on their cams, and with them being rotated vertically. But I digress. They have earned this first set. And let's take a look at some of the stats here. Obviously, this Angelo just is so winning in these matchups. Has the damage, has the range, has the survivability with having that ability to jump away when necessary. It just looked good all the way across the board for Momotaru. I think we had our doubts also about just like the efficacy of the Max and the Gene together, but the aggression from the Max was just excellent here. Navi didn't have anything proper to shut things down. Brock wasn't really able to. Just good dodges also from Momotaru's players allowed them to secure these kills up in the enemy's face, and then they could fall back quite easily using Gene's magic puffs sort of as a cushion to stay alive in their own ramparts.
It's a classic combination, and it's one that I miss it, honestly. I mean, now that Jae Young is in effect, effectively, I mean, we don't really get to see the Max Gene combination as much anymore. I did see it a little bit, played a little bit in Hideout here in the Kalalas Cup. Pekka was trying to make the Max work, but I've got to say, it's no East Asia Max. I mean, he tried his very best, but in that matchup, we saw Max basically gadgeting into fully charged shots from Angelos, from Gus's, and it just didn't really work out in his favor. He had a great match, just couldn't really put it to fruition. But here, Momotaru, this is a supposedly random Max player, right? It's a random Max player that is tearing apart this entire Na'Vi roster. We're talking Na'Vi here, and they're able to put a dent in them. I mean, you can say it's a 55-45% in terms of matchup, but still, it's Na'Vi we're talking about. That was a really, really brazen performance there that came out from this Max.
Really is. Getting up in their faces, securing the kills, getting the dodges, some, close like nail-biter interactions. I remember at the beginning of game number 2 of this last set, there being basically like a one-tap interaction where Max just like had the superior reload speed and was able to escape with really just a couple hundred HP. So, well done from Momotaru. They've gotten set number 1. We're just waiting on them to go ahead and get into set number 2 so we can talk about draft instead of yapping for, a billion years, in case you're wondering why we're still reflecting on set number 1, which amounted to about 4 minutes. Let's start talking about it, Spoo. It's time for us to talk about Pit Stop, which, my goodness, how did this one sneak in?
I'll tell you how. I put it in the map pool. That's how it snuck in. It's still in the map pool, right? I mean, nothing too peculiar about this. I actually second guess myself. I mean, we don't get to see Pit Stop often.
Yes.
And competitively, this has been a map that a lot of teams really dislike for a very good reason. It's one of those few maps where I think the overarching strategy is so much more important than the micro plays that you make. Like the macro level decision making and the strategy overall that you're picking basically determines whether you're gonna win. And that's what Momotaru have already started things out. So the structure of this kind of map is always to try and pick out 2 attackers and 1 dedicated defense, or some kind of hybrid arrangement of those sorts. So Momotaru, now they've revealed their first attacker, and it's going to be the Miko.
And you can see they banned for it as well. They got rid of the RT. It's like the number 1 thing to deal with it. So Navi's approach is really going to have to be also to sort of base race out the Miko and to get some proper defense going. I feel like they're probably going to have to pick up a Charlie here just to deal with that. They'll go ahead and go for Shade. Interestingly enough, there's a Draco from Navi as well. So they are going to barrel to the enemy side. I'm fully expecting a Draco with the star power that makes its target more vulnerable, like makes it receive crits on the next hit, and that's going to be useful for ticking down that save. Also, Shade just like really excellent for, you know, sometimes going the wall and then getting some damage on Miko and being untouchable, but more importantly, damaging the safe through the wall. Whenever it's surrounded by brawlers, it's also going to be farming up super or hypercharge. It's going to be guaranteed critical hits on your attacks during the hypercharge.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent shape map. I mean, this is one of the best here, and as you mentioned, I mean, once you get that super online, you go past that little unbreakable wall inside the mid, it's really a safe way to just cycle more super and get more damage in. And Momotaru, they're not really picking out an immediate hard counter for it. I mean, of course, the ultimate hate pick up against the Shade is the Jackie here, 100%. If they really wanted to go for it as a defender here, they could, but that does leave a little bit of vulnerability. Something like a thrower that can maybe open things up. So no, I mean, Momotaru, they're gonna go for Lu instead as their designated defender and have this Buzz be sort of a flex, you know, pick between just both attack and defense. I like the idea from Momotaru. I find the Buzz a little bit interesting, to say the least. But Navi, the last pick should be fairly predictable. They need some kind of defense for themselves.
Okay, last selection from Navi to deal with the Lu, or to, you know, do something against it. There's the Charlie. I was really expecting this one to be selected earlier as a reaction to the Miko, but it may have just been the case that Navi, they had some picks that they simply had to go for earlier on, otherwise Momotaru was going ahead and go and pick them out. You saw Draco, Shade, top priority selections here. I get the feeling that Momotaru would actually probably rather have those than the Lu and the Buzz that they sort of ended up with. So I am going to say well done by Navi as far as drafting into this Miko, but it's not going to be easy because they don't really have the greatest response to it. Charlie is just about the best that they could get.
It's, yeah, as you mentioned, it's not bad, but it's not the best either. I mean, she still needs to charge up the super in order to get it done. I mean, it is one of the best counters in the sense that it will reliably always stop the Miko push, but it's effectively just cutting the effectiveness of the Miko about maybe by 25%. At the end of the day, this Miko is still going to consistently be piling on the damage, and that's what we're seeing here. Achapi, though, is kind of trying to do his best Miko impression here, and it should be already going to be able to shred open that first layer of shielding very shortly. No, kind of not really being able to do so. That's going to be a big blow to their tempo.
It's going to hurt. Navi press on nonetheless. They've gotten this down to 75%, and the response from Buzz. Now looking for one more Rio. He's going to be cut off on the left side. A super in from Buzz, but no dice just yet. It's going to be Miko's responsibility to go ahead and get this kill on the right side. Buzz repositions, and he's still hanging on to the hypercharge. That was excellent defense from Momotaru right there, but they are lagging behind. It is only by a breadth of 5%. That's one more kill for Buzz. These two brawlers, the Lu and the Buzz, they are on defense duty, and it is all up to Miko to get the damage on the enemy side.
This is exactly what they're looking for, but Navi, though, they found a win condition of their own. Just send Ryohei in there as that massive battering ram. Pop the entire hypercharge there to just shred through the entirety of that second layer of shield. Now working on the third. Achapi's going to join the fray as well as Kuru. This is starting to look like a bit of an overwhelming push from them. Achapi with a big hypercharge going in there. Kuru surviving through all this. Ryohei as well to pile on a little bit of damage there. Kuru, the last man left standing, is going to be able to run down this safe and take a game for Navi.
And there's one more for Navi. In fact, this is the first game that they've managed to take so far. And it is a serious battle for them to even get to that stage. But once again, I'm just going to echo what I said earlier. I like their draft better here. Momotaru, it felt quite reliant on just like a cheese strat. What, you're going to ban RT and first select Miko? It's really not that simple. Though I will give credit for them where it is due, which is that they had good defense. You know, they had the Buzz exactly where it needed to be at so many different points, but now you see Draco coming in with exactly the star power that we anticipated, marking up the safe, getting additional damage on it. But Navi is lagging behind now. This first push in for Miko left their safe without its first shield.
Now, this is a really interesting choice that Na'Vi made here. They opted to send Kuru there on the attack. I'm not sure if that was intentional, letting the Miko slip through. And now, big fight emerges on in the mid. The Buzz continues to dominate over Ryohei, but it's a momentary trade. Eventually, Ryohei is going to be able to charge at the hypercharge and do the same thing. I think the key thing for Momotaru is that the Lu can basically never feed and never fall. If he stays alive and is able to just cycle out supers, even if he can't get kills, it's a way for them to stay in the game. The Lu can shut down the entire lane and prevent at least 2 members of Na'Vi from getting in, which is what they're starting to do here.
Momotaru continue to press in with this Miko. Easy dispatch of those spiders. Should be a free kill onto the Charlie as well, which it is. Now in comes Na'Vi on their own offensive push, and Achapi has earned his hypercharge. And notice that Momotaru are keeping a nice distance around the guy. They don't want to give him his super because they know it's going to be so deadly. The assistance in from Kuru keeps Achapi just barely alive, but still need to be mindful of this hypercharge that could be coming in from Buzz very soon. And now it's starting to take shape on the left side.
He's going to be Spider-Manning across the field as well, heading straight for this safe to tear down that last layer of shielding. Kuru does have a hypercharge super. He's going to be able to stop it at the moment. But Na'Vi on the other side, you can see Ryohei tried to get through there, but the Lu is remaining at large here. Miko just needs 2 more swipes. Got one in there. I think he's cocooned at the moment. The damage has been stymied for the time being. But as soon as he's out, just the last swing of the bat. And that's going to be Momotaru now almost going to be taking another set up against Na'Vi.
Very, very close to Momotaru beginning this insane upset. They just need to keep that consistency and get another one over here. Looks like that Buzz simply slipped through. Also, the early game for Momotaru just looked quite wonderful. They had Miko exactly where it needed to be. They got some crazy damage, sniped at that first shield before Na'Vi really even got the chance to get their push going. And they're going to look to do the same once again. You will see Miko fall, but not without taking a solid 18% chunk out of Na'Vi's safe.
It's very interesting that I'm seeing Kuru go on the offense here. I guess Na'Vi are not convinced that Achapi and Ryohei can punch through the Lu here, even though that's kind of what worked in game number 1. I mean, it's really odd. You win the first game and then you go into games 2 and 3, you completely change up the overarching strategy. I mean, now Kuru punches through the Lu here, and that's going to allow Ryohei to come in and start to deal some more damage, but they've already taken a big gamble. They're suffering quite a fair bit of damage to the safe of their own. Let's hope that gamble pays off.
Here comes yet another attempt at offense from Miko. It's actually good this time on the right side. That was a kill. The Momotaru have the tools to keep up this defense. Achapi's going to get frozen. It's going to be a kill between Lu and Buzz, and now Miko is threatening to punch even further through the shield on the side of Na'Vi. It's down to 28%. It's still neck and neck, though.
All hands on deck for Momotaru. They're going to be sending the Buzz across the field to join up on the offense as well. We see the Miko making a beeline there, trying to base raise this out. Just Lu against the wall. He's put in the cocoon. It's going to be a pure base raise, but Momotaru are one step ahead. They already sent the Buzz to tear open the shielding there. They had 3 whole seconds, which doesn't seem like a lot, but in Heist, it's an eternity. In a base race, that's such crucial time. It's going to allow Momotaru to take another set against Na'Vi. Could we be seeing perhaps an upset happening?
Okay, you know what, Momotaru? I was a critic. I didn't really think that banning RT and going ahead and picking up the Miko was going to be that effective, but it was, because the Miko by itself, in the absence of strong counters, was too much for Na'Vi to handle. And I think Na'Vi may have played a little like fast and loose here, thinking like, okay, so you gotta out DPS the Miko. We'll have like something to defend against it. I don't know, Charlie, whatever the other people are doing. And it didn't quite cut the mustard. One game is all that Na'Vi was able to get there, which did bring us to a pretty competitive standing there by game number 3, but it did not even out the score. This is starting to look like an upset. For Na'Vi to win this, they're going to have to reverse sweep.
We've already seen one reverse sweep happen yesterday. It was Rival, I believe, up against the Open Qualifier Team Aqua. They also dropped the first 2 sets, and a big part of it was due to the draft. What our replays working today already. Wow. Woo! Flex, subtle flex. Oh, even got a sick transition going there.
That's
Love
right.
to see it. That's going to be the game number 1 that you're seeing. But yes, I mean, maybe that was the moment, honestly. You see Kuru getting that first kill. onto that save, and then maybe that was what clicked inside Navi's head. They were like, okay, maybe we need Kuru on attack, and then it just started falling apart for them. I mean, I don't understand why they just sort of vetoed on their plan. I mean, they've got a decent win condition. The Draco will eventually get the hypercharge to penetrate the Lu, and Kuru, every time the Miko pushes in, Kuru will definitely be able to neuter most of the save damage. I mean, the first push in game number 1 only did 11%, but we saw a difference in game number 2 and 3 where when the Miko was practically uncontested or is up against a Draco, it was just like so much easier for him to just shred through the first layer of shielding, and I think that was a big deal for Na'Vi.
It's certainly an error for Na'Vi not to leave Charlie as like their dedicated defender. Just, it happens that the things that are really properly able to deal with Miko right now, I guess with the exception of RT, is that they're also good elsewhere. Like, you would be ill-advised to leave Cordelius open into this current day and age, right? So it makes Miko quite a strong selection here. Not that he wasn't before, it's just that, you know, he's more able to sneak through when he's not banned out, which is certainly something that Na'Vi missed. They should have banned it. We're going to be heading over to double swoosh. For set number 3, bans are in, and some of the obvious things are out. Momotaru, I think they've got it spot on with what they've gotten rid of. No Kitty Cat, no Jae-Young, and no Kaze. The top 2 I can definitely agree with. Maybe with Jae-Young you get a little bit of wiggle room. Na'Vi, this also makes a lot of sense. They've just gone ahead and gotten rid of literally the strongest first pick on this map in Tara, and then some other solid options for denying the typical like overwhelming lane control in the Amber and Lumi.
It's actually so hard to predict which is the first pick here, but yeah, it is Na'Vi. I mean, I guess the kit is a decent indicator for it. And after all these bans have settled, Crow managed to slip through here, and I'm a big fan of this Blackbird. I mean, I've been rating it at S tier in pretty much every single tier list imaginable, and in the BSC, we've been seeing such extended gameplay of this ever since just got that little bit of a HP buff to his bulk, plus his defense booster. He effectively, the math works out to be about 12,000 hit points. That's right, folks. If you guys are wondering why Crow is so meta now, you combine the star power plus the shield plus his natural health plus the shield gear, and effectively you've got a bird that's got nearly double the health of what you get. So it's one of the most survivable options, and it's just super duper annoying to deal with. Double switch has always been good. So Momotaru, their response, gonna pick up this Charlie and the Squeak, and for the first time already, you know how I feel about Squeak. I never like it. I always feel it's a liability, and I feel unless you're like Humble Boss playing it, it's so hard to extract value on a map even like double swoosh.
And yet, it's taken out of the clutches for Na'Vi. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board, find out a different way to deal with these Charlie Spiders because they are so troublesome. So what's it going to be? Is it going to be Janet? Is it going to be Buster that gets up in their faces? I think Buster might be a little bit too much for Na'Vi at this point. I really like the call of going ahead and picking up the Lily. Though, if Charlie winds up being in possession of those gems, then Lily should beware. As long as, you know, she doesn't have that hypercharged sweeper that would remove Charlie's ability to throw down spiders or pop herself in the cocoon, or, of course, pop an enemy in a cocoon. Janet, there it is. It makes sense. Fire through the spiders. What else are you going to do? One of the key options for dealing with it was taken away by Momotaru, so their hand's kind of forced here, and it's not really the worst mid, but it is lacking in terms of damage and, you know, true stopping power.
That is the weakness, I think, of the Na'Vi comp here. They look like they're kind of lacking in the DPS, and Momotaru loved the last pick here for them. Capitalizing on the fact that Na'Vi don't really have the biggest of burst damages. I mean, once you got the Lily hypercharge and the Crow hypercharge, maybe you got something, but this is not like something like a Buster, for example, where right off the bat, you just get into the bush, pop that gadget. If you get a pull in, it's basically a guaranteed kill here. What I'm curious about, though, Reddy, is honestly, is there a single good matchup for this Squeak? I'm a Squeak hater. I'm going to continue to hate on it because I just don't see how this Squeak is going to stay alive to anything that Na'Vi has picked up. It just feels like such an awkward pick here. I mean, did they dedicate the entire Squeak to set up the Buster, maybe?
It's possible, and there's a reason that Squeak usually comes in as a later pick, but I really don't think it's the worst thing ever. I think you have way better wall peek ability than a couple of the brawlers on Na'Vi. The only thing that can go toe-to-toe with a Squeak is realistically that Janet. Also, I think you have good value in getting visibility, which is really the main currency that is required to deal with a Lily, but without being able to see anyone on this left side, it's no good. Here comes the Buster for Ryohei, and it's good, but he's pinched out by a Choppy. On the right side, Squeak is still trying to find a home. Can't really find the best place. Oh, what a stick on Kuru. And now everyone is well aware of her position. That's going to be the push-in from Ryohei, and he is going to get taken down, but he's created so much pressure for Na'Vi that they can start to move in. It's still going to be one casualty for Na'Vi. They lose one of their number, but Kuru's got 7 gems, and this squad is looking excellent.
This is starting to look like a pretty decent chance to reverse sweep here. Really not got the hypercharge going to be going in there. Takes down one, lands on top of the Buster, but the key to this map is just tempo control. Every push that you have made on the lane is always going to convert into some kind of a gem lead. And you look at the gems. I mean, every 2 gems is basically 1 successful push. Na'Vi now count up to 10 gems, and this is basically the beginning of the end for Momotaru. Yes, they might be able to stop Ryohei here. Long range super going to be attempted there by Charlie, but it's actually blocked out there by a Choppy here. Beautiful there on the Crow. And Na'Vi, they're just hitting each other in the back, you know, kind of like giving little micro fist bumps, like yeah, we got this. We're not getting swept clean by Momotaru here.
No, not quite. Yes, I'm still left wondering, what is a Squeak here for? And I think really it was just, oh well, we want to make the Charlie like a little stronger, but Charlie's not really a power player. It's not really a brawler where you're like, okay, we gotta pick something to make this OP and untouchable. The only thing that would be worth picking alongside of Charlie or banning out when you want a good Charlie is really Amber. And Na'Vi already did Momotaru that favor. So I'm still hoping to see some better action out of the Squeak. At least Squeak is holding on to 3 gems. They're going to put Squeak on mid, which I actually am curious to see how this one turns out. I like the ingenuity. Look at that pull from Buster. Momotaru now storm Na'Vi's bushes, and they have control.
It's a momentary effort though. Ryohei is still going to be able to just press the pop of the gadget. It's a great read there from the Buster though. Kind of completely sized up Ryohei's ideal. Completely a Choppy now though. Pops the defense booster. Going to be jumping over. Going to be able to get that 1 kill onto that Buster. But meanwhile, in the back, the Charlie has managed to gain full headway. Gonna be putting Ryohei inside the prison there and extracting that final gem on the escape. And Ryohei missing that crucial super. It's gonna be a really difficult retake for Na'Vi.
10 seconds to go. Ryohei's attempting to push in from the left. Gonna get sucked in. Nope, not quite. Into the Shadow Realm he goes. That's an airborne Janet trying to interrupt. That's one interruption. Looks good so far. Ryohei gets a kill in the realm. Buster, a bygone memory. That's gonna have to be a hypercharge out from Squeak looking for the best target. 2 shots on a cruise, all it would take. There's 1. No, not quite. 2 will make it happen, and Ryohei's got 12. He's able to pop into the realm at any second now, really. There it is. He just got to charge back up. 10 seconds to go. Momotaru attempting to push in Ryohei on the right side, but a Choppy's got it covered. The defense booster is simply too strong. It is one of the main things that has brought Crow to such a meta position, and it has been abused by Na'Vi in this set.
Star player goes to Ryohei, and it's completely deserved. That basically the retake from there was just so picture perfect. I mean, his size, his positioning there coming out of that vanish to basically just chain it out to a hypercharge super, then dodging out the Charlie, gets in nice and close, splits off from the team to force the Squeak to chase after only one of the 2 targets. I mean, all that was a mixture of just absolute just team play dominance coming out from Na'Vi. And you know, yes, chat, to be fair, Na'Vi had comp. I agree.
Yes, however, like Momotaru getting that lead, they just could not shrug off the huge wave in from Na'Vi where they moved in as 3 members strong. And I honestly want to say hats off to a couple brawlers from Na'Vi. Not to, you know, throw shade at Kuru, I just think that his 2 teammates outshone him this time. Ryohei with the aggression, with the positioning he was able to get by some aggressive vanishes in. A Choppy with his use of the Crow gadget, which, as I mentioned earlier, is pretty much the thing that has made him so meta. It's a combination of things, but really that shield does stick out to you. And there were a couple of occasions where Momotaru played a little bit too fast and loose around a Crow that had that shield, and they were punished heavily for it.
Yeah, there's even a moment there. At the end of that game number 3, the Charlie just popped the gadget in front of a Choppy. It's just like zero respect there for the Crow. Choppy was like, are you really gonna cocoon yourself in front of me? All right, I'm gonna walk to your face, pop the shield, and just basically use you as a super factory and just start cycling onto you instead. I mean, that just really goes to show. I mean, Crow's really come a long way. I mean, I've never thought that Crow as an assassin would actually end up being one of the strongest frontliners for a team. Maybe something to relook at, Adrian. Maybe a nerf needs to be coming their way to redefine it a little bit. But coming into this set number 4, though, once again, Momotaru have the exact same bans as they did inside the Gem Grab map, I believe, which I think should indicate that Na'Vi are the first pick.
Okay, let's see if that's a correct read. Na'Vi do have the first pick, and they're going to be using it to go ahead and pick up a Cordelius. With this one wide open, you gotta go for it. I think it also is going to make a Willow from Momotaru weaker. Willow is such a good selection on Pinball Dreams. But when there is a brawler that on a timer can jump over a wall, you have to play cautiously around it. I don't necessarily know whether Na'Vi expected this Cordelius to be open, but you kind of just got to take it. You'll also be able to jump over a wall versus a Hank. One of his biggest strengths is being able to shoot through the walls. Now you can vault over it. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that he's not still weak against throwers, which I think one of those would be really solid for Na'Vi, something with some range. Larry is one that always comes to mind, but I feel like Willow is just one of your stronger options here.
Yep, I agree. I think on the side of Na'Vi, they could even go up for the Willow themselves here. Not sure if that's what you were intending the idea wise, but yeah, I mean, the Bonnie has the mid, the Cordelius is the side lane to, you know, deter more tanks, and then yeah, if you want to go for a throw here, yeah, I don't mind it. I think Willow is probably the best even up against this Hank in particular. It's one of the easiest sort of tanks to just mind control as a Willow. It's a decent matchup. You can also just hide inside the water. I mean, using dive to just block out that first sort of bubble that it uses. A lot of really interesting interactions as a Willow here. Yeah, okay, they're just gonna go for it. So, I mean, great prediction there.
Wow, thank you so much. And because you gave me a compliment, I'm going to find a way to not accept it and say, like, yeah, we saw this coming from a mile away. Wow, she's so good here on Pinball Dreams. And they just couldn't go for it first because Cordelius is so effective at dealing with that Willow. So now Momotaru got to find something else to deal with that. And yes, it is a thrower, one that pairs actually quite nicely with this Hank, I might add. So I'm seeing some legs for Momotaru. I think that this could be pretty solid, but in this matchup, like with these players, I would rank Na'Vi's players above Momotaru, okay? They are more storied, they have earned their reputation, and I feel like Momotaru's strat is a bit more demanding. Reason being because Barry, like, yes, burying Hank is really, really strong, but not when you have to be as mobile as you are in Brawl Ball. Still, viable option, but tough when you have such low reload speed with Barry, and yet you need to move forward. You need more ice cream in front of you to make a path to the enemy side.
Total stalemate though when we come inside this game. Ryo is even just gonna tank up this entire Lumi gadget. It's not really phased by it at the moment. Choppy has managed to just take advantage of this Momotaru lane swap, and so you're gonna see the entirety of the Na'Vi roster surge forward here. But this, I do believe, is the matchup that Na'Vi are still actually pretty comfortable with. Kuru doesn't mind the matchup up against the Barry. I mean, he has the better range, can space him out. Choppy doesn't mind the matchup up against the Hank either. A Shadow Run will come eventually, which should be able to get this kill, but I guess the textbook's been thrown out the window because independent of all of that, somehow Momotaru have found a way to break through. Choppy's even forced here to pop the Shadow Realm in commitment, but the ball just couldn't be stopped there.
Really, really near miss there from Ryohi. He pulled out all the stops and he nearly got the takedown on Barry, but it was no use. Momotaru get goal number 1, and now they gotta fend off this charge in from Ryohi. It's going to be good so far. That's a stun onto a Choppy, but no follow-up. Momotaru could not catch up in time, and Choppy remains alive. That, and he has a super at his disposal. Can use that to pop Hank in the Shadow Realm and, you know, get rid of his troublesome bubble if necessary. We'll see also some abilities available for Na'Vi. They've got a couple of hypercharges online. One of them just needs a super to match. It's going to be Ryohi. Having a massive stun would be incredible. He's probably just a couple shots away, if not only one, from having that ability.
He's going to be going in there, diving straight away, joining his teammate with the hypercharge there. It's Kuru just up against this Hank, and in principle, this should be an easy... Yeah, it was so close. I mean, I'd say in principle, just a simple mind control, but Kuru was barely on 187 health there. That could have gone really, really poorly if he wasn't picture perfect with his usage of his super there.
Hank's just like undoubtedly spamming the auto aim, just trying to keep things on. Oh my goodness, what a pass downfield to a Choppy. It's volleyed back by a defender, but still Choppy's able to push this one forward once more. Is it worth it? Had the ability to pop a hypercharge and decided, no, I'm just going to press this ball forward, jump away to avoid further damage. And now there are only 10 seconds to go till we see all these walls fall. This is an optimal position for Navi. It's going to make some crazy sight lines for Kuru to go ahead and get his super. Now the ball needs to find its way over there. It's going to be friend against friend on the side of Momotaru, but Hank snaps out of it. He's got to find a way to intercept once more. No good. Navi get the final goal, and they're still in it.
Overtime positioning just really crucial there for Navi. I love the little micro play there where Kuru just started leaning left as the Willow just started chasing the Hank all the way, and it almost looked like the Hank really just kind of didn't respect that. I mean, fell down all the way to 1,000 hit points, and then as soon as the walls came down, a hypercharge Willow super came in, turned the bubble onto his Lumi, and the rest was history. It was basically undefendable at that point.
Same dynamic as last time. Oh, except Ryohi's got a super even earlier. Now here comes the support assassin, and now here comes the assassin. One, make that two. What a couple of kills from Navi.
Oh yeah, this is the world champ diff. I mean, you can't forget that a Choppy is, after all, former world champ for a reason here. I mean, it's not gonna be making these kind of plays easy for Momotaru. Now though, they are still trying to find positioning here. The Hank did try to go there for a kill there. Unfortunately, you can't use your enemy supers against them, otherwise it would have been easy goal. But still, with one Hank taken out of the equation, it sets Ryohei up perfectly for that clean star jump, and that's gonna be a clean goal for Navi.
Looks pretty nice for them so far, but how do they fare on defense? How do they fare against 3 supers ready from Momotaru? Especially the stun from Lumi. It's going to be Ryohi falling. Kuru now needs to be cleared out of the way, but the mind control is good, and it's going to be Hank tagging up his teammates. Here comes a hypercharge now. Momotaru had to keep position. Pass up to Hank would look promising, but still, he's got a lot of damage to take, and makes it through by sheer force alone. Use that hypercharge, use the super to give himself some additional HP and walk things on through. It equalizes score here between Navi and Momotaru.
Big super there from the Lumi though, catches out 2, and then Kuru now with a super is going to be trying to pull away as much as he can here. I'm not sure if he succeeded though.
Yeah, definitely a confusing one right there, as I believe Willow managed to get a kill on the brawler from Momotaru that was going back to retrieve the ball and pass it up to Hank. And that single-handedly stopped the goal attempt. But Momotaru are now coming back at this with a rejuvenated Envy. Here they come. A super in from Ryohi. Now a pass all the way down the field. That's a 3v none. 10 seconds to go, and Navi walk it on through. That's going to be game and set headed their way, and we're going to set number 5.
Is it the nature of group stage that reverse sweeps are just ever so possible? I love to see the fact that Kuru is finally smiling after that game. I think he's pleased with that one for sure. It was a bit dicey in, you know, a bit of scary moments, but when all said and done, it was still Navi's victory after all. And once again, have to feel that they had a slight comp edge here, led by, and it's rare that that happens because they're the first pick. But this time, I really think that Navi found a really good and all-rounded comp that could really deal with anything here, and they really executed it pretty well as well.
Something that stood out to me from Navi was just their ability to shrug off these pushes in from Momotaru. You had a couple of really solid defenders, one in the Willow, another in that Cordelius, and numerous double kills, but Momotaru, they weren't totally deterred. They did have some strats that they were able to leverage there. And yeah, that is very much a highlight of Kuru winning the set. I don't know, I just thought he had aura on cam. I'm the one in charge of choosing the replays, so if you got an issue with it, then you got to go through me first. Let's talk about some of these stats, Spoo, because it is actually really even.
Yeah, could have gone really either way here. I mean, it's just 2 more goals that Na'Vi managed to score there. And gotta say, it's off the backs of just better utility. I mean, when Momotaru almost managed to punch through, it was always because it was some kind of combination play between a decent Lumi route followed by a decent bubble from the Hank and then the Barry heals to come in. And they punch through with just sheer health. Na'Vi, though, they've got so many other options they can score. A Shadow Realm, a Star Jump there from the body, Cruise, Mind Control. I mean, it's so many mines in that Momotaru have to defuse. I'm honestly surprised that they lasted as long as they did.
It is actually true, though. I mean, not to take too much credit away from Momotaru, but I was likewise impressed that they managed to hang on that long when you could really get the vibe just based off of game number 1, who is going to end up taking the set overall. A couple of defensive options from Na'Vi, Momotaru, they really actually only had one way of getting that ball into the goal, and it was by walking things through with Hank on sheer HP alone. You had CC galore from Na'Vi, Bonnie with her hyper super. You got Cordelius can put you in the realm. Willow can get in your head and make you do things to your teammates that you wouldn't be able to do yourself. Couldn't bring yourself to do it, and certainly couldn't do it if you wanted to. Let's talk about Ring of Fire, Spoo. We're headed over there for set number 5, our final destination.
As a final destination, I would not want to die here. This is not a great one, the map, honestly, to be in. And Ring of Fire is one of the most skill-testing maps I like to always call it. With such an open map in the mid, there's a lot of playmaking potential. I mean, especially like when it's those 1 versus 1 matchups. It's a bit rarer today, but we still will see sort of teams of old attempt to do, B versus Lu, 1 versus 1s in the mid, and then duke it on the side lanes. So, curious to see which direction the draft will take. Off the bans though, I can say for sure that Momotaru, they just don't want to play against any kind of synergy. They're banning out Gray, Kid, Jae-Young. They've learned their lessons from the predecessors of yesterday. They don't want to make the same mistakes.
I can never disagree with a gray ban when you have that first pick. Reason being that as a first pick, okay, then it's counterable, but when it's picked 2-3 alongside something it's good with, then really what are your options? I mean, it becomes so difficult to deal with. So they lead with the Charlie. Hardly a first pick in my eyes, and very counterable. Na'Vi go ahead and pick up the logical thing and go for the Amber, which is not only solid here on Ring of Fire, despite it being able to be outranged, but is going to be a direct response to that Charlie. You can fire through the spiders. You just have really good ability. Can get slightly outranged by the Charlie, I believe, because Charlie, does have some pretty respectable range now. In fact, she has the exact same range as Bonnie, which should be noted in the individual matchup. I think also picking something that directly deals with the Charlie spiders is definitely an assistance for Bonnie here, because usually she would have a pretty sizable struggle into the Charlie spiders alone.
Yep, I like this Lily selection though. They're seeing a sort of small weakness in the form of this Amber pick, and I think that's enough for them to be convinced that they can pick up the Lily and get some value off that. I mean, infiltration value is always very underrated on this map. You get into the enemy's bush on that right side, force one of the brawlers to be dedicated there to deal with it, and surprisingly, Momotaru, yeah, they're not too happy with this Charlie pick in the mid either. I don't think they were really convinced by their, that overall direction of it, and they're just gonna flex it out and put B in the mid instead. I like this sort of change up with the ideas here, and I think it's aiming to try and answer the Bonnie just by sheer virtue of outranging him.
Well, that's the only way it's going to be able to deal with the Bonnie, because it doesn't have CC except for a slow, and that's not enough to deal with a Bonnie that has just jumped on your dome. Now, this one is interesting. So Tara's ability here, like where she's going to thrive in general, is in bushes. And if you look at Ring of Fire, I see a couple of bushes. You want to get into that one on the enemy side, and that's the real struggle. How do you push up that lane on the left side? She is going to be running those shades, so she will be able to block up some shots from Charlie. Really not a single piercing brawler on the side of Momotaru, so she does have the ability there. Gonna take some assistance also from teammates to get in position, but I'm seeing real potential for this Tara to succeed, pretty much based on the fact that her shades are not dealt with by anything from Momotaru, and she should be able to get in position.
Help from beyond is going to be such a great resource, and Choppy's already going on that right lane. Wants to deny the infiltration value there from the Lily. He's just going to show his face, then run straight at him, then pop back into the Shadow Realm, and manages to get into the base. But you still look at the Choppy's position, doesn't really care. Goes to the mid, offers help from beyond. He's gonna just take the L here and probably die, but he's already charged up like 2 out of 3 of the hits of the super, and Na'Vi, they lead with the percentage there. They're gonna lose full mid control, but this I still think is a worthy trade.
I think a Choppy went up that right side thinking, well, you know what, I'm going to get a good matchup in Lily, and then Lily goes into Shadow Realm, gets 2 kills as well. My goodness, this guy is a menace in the bushes. We'll still see a trade out for Na'Vi, but I want to point out that this Tara matchup just has not gone well so far. Went up the right side, couldn't get a matchup, had really nothing to play for out in the open with no bushes, and now is missing bushes on the left side as well, thanks to the help from his teammate in Amber. We'll see a hypercharge now come out from Lily, looking for a kill. Could be one on Nakuru, but is forced to abandon ship, go over to the left side. And even still, Na'Vi have struggled to find their position.
Choppy just really needs to just try and get into the backlines here and start to form a threat of himself. I mean, this B is going to be just continuing to be a menace. Ryohei managed to trade him out here, but a long-range Charlie super going to be coming in, doesn't connect onto Kuru. Choppy, despite the fact that help from beyond is useful, it's still kind of being bullied here. I mean, he's got the hardest role to play on this brawler. He's supposed to be the check against the Lily, but at the moment not really accomplishing its job. Now a kind of forceful gravity going to be coming out here, connects it onto the Charlie here, but they're going to be tanking up teammates for Ryohei. Not sure if it's intentional or not, gets the stun off. Kuru kind of didn't really see the same eye to eye as there could have been a kill there on the Lily, but instead it's going to be allowed to get away.
That was excellent from the Lily. She even managed to take down the Bonnie upon re-entry. That's a missed super from Charlie, though, and I think that makes 2 in a row. This is really, really hurt from Momotaru because they've had some pretty winning positions, but are whiffing a few of the abilities. These mistakes are going to cost them, but they are still coming out on top somehow. That's a double kill there for Lily, and a Choppy does get the shutdown in the end. Hypercharge in, and it's only a bit of damage versus B. Momotaru are counting up to 90%. They have the staying power on this point. Those are the spiders to block things out. A bit more damage on Nakuru, who's going to do his best with the super, but no dice. It's going to be game number 1 in match point, head of the way of Momotaru.
Choppy's just so greedy there. I mean, holding off on the gravity once the Lily had shown up, I would think he saw the vanish happen right in his face. He knew his teammates would be threatened, and his job is to basically protect his teammates. I mean, I don't understand what he was saving that hypercharge super for. Just saving it for the next game, perhaps. I mean,
that's right.
Now they're going to be down. They're pretty much going to be down, yeah, the entirety of that game, and this is not a position that you want to be in if you're a Na'Vi fan.
No, not quite. You see the reverse sweep almost happen, and all of a sudden, looks like Momotaru may be able to take it back. Look at the interaction on the right side. Choppy comes out on top. Not just that, but he's got a super for his troubles. He is well on his way to cycling a hypercharge. But Na'Vi have locked in. They've leaned forward in their gaming chairs and said, no, you may not get a single % on this point. They're approaching 35 without really a whisper of any presence from Momotaru. It's part of the risk of picking up something like a B, which is that you can get kills, but you cannot stand on top of that point easily. You really have to push up to the enemy side in order to get some respectable percentage. Here comes the vanish from Lily. It's going to take good team comms, but they simply are not there. Lily, she's like a fish out of water on this point. Yes, 4%, but nothing beyond that.
Oh man, the masters of the old are back. Na'Vi are just stepping up to play so much better this game. I mean, we talk about mechanical skill, and that's really what's being flexed here. I've seen a million stingers come out from the B this game. Look at that movement from Na'Vi. Just popping a hypercharge there just for swagger, honestly. It was really just the quintessential, typical East Asian ego. It's like, yeah, you can pick a B. Go ahead. I don't care. I'll play whatever in the B because the shots are too easy to dodge.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if your name is a Choppy, then sure, easy to dodge. Well, and especially at long range, okay? I will give them credit there. But that's just one brawler out of 3 from Momotaru. Everything worked out for Na'Vi. I would say one of the central things that worked so well for them in the early game was the ability of Taro to take down that Lily so swiftly. So much so dominating that Lily actually switched up lanes and still was denied any scrap of value.
Choppy even managed to get full infiltration on the back and push this B all the way there. And oh man, Ryohei with the damage booster over there on that gear, managing to bring down the B through the shield. That's an interaction I don't think the B expected there. Wanted to maybe try to get some more value there in Pop Crew. This Lily just seems to be running out of steam here. Even managed to get caught by the Amber there. Not going to be able to get this kill even onto Ryohei. The three members of Na'Vi remain ever so vital. This Charlie Soup is going to continue to be with here. Look at Kuru. He's playing on so little health. Yeah, finally gets to go down to the Lily here. But honestly, look at the percentage. They're already so far ahead. I'd be really hard-pressed to see how Momotaru could potentially come back here.
Well, it ain't over till it's over. That is what they say, cliche as it may be. But holy smokes, those are some killer dodges from a Choppy, but just like that, Momotaru have wrested back control of mid, and they've got the hypercharge for Lily too. That's going to be one kill. Look for another, two. A Choppy aims down and helps in getting that kill onto Lily, who eventually falls at the hands of some of that Amber Fire. Another push in from Na'Vi is on the horizon. Ryohei's going to be the one daring enough to step his toe on the point first. Now, Super to the back lines, gets one kill, but it's still a 2v2. It's a free kill for that Charlie, but now the 1v2 ensues. Close range for Lily. That's the kill that they needed, but it's not over yet.
Finally, the B is actually going to be manning up here, just standing in his ground inside the mid, walks straight up to him. It's a Choppy against the wall. Momotaru continues to dominate inside the center. Hypercharge Super there from a Choppy. You see the Lily just desperately making a beeline, but touchdown! He's already got the point! Momotaru! They defy the odds, and they put Na'Vi in such a difficult position now. Match win for them. Elation from the team of Momotaru. This ghost named Niadesu is just celebrating in the darkness, but he's earned it. I jinxed it, guys. I jinxed it.
That is incredible. Love the jubilation on their faces right now. This is the holy crap, we just beat Na'Vi type of face. Their journey isn't over yet, not through the winner's bracket. They still gotta take one more match. And folks, look, I just gotta say it, there's a terminology for all the different kinds of sweeps you can get. You can get, you know, the sweep, that's a good old-fashioned 3-0. The 6-0, even better. Don't lose a single game. Then there's a reverse sweep, okay? Start off with a couple games, enemy team brings it back with 3-1s, and then what am I looking at here? This is in the industry referred to as the complete waste of time, but that's just, you know, what? That's just in the industry. I want to take a look back at some of the highlights from this last set because there were numerous to speak of. Na'Vi, they started off looking like, oh my gosh, they might actually concede this to Momotaru, and then Momotaru started to step on the gas.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be that game 3 to be a highlight for me. I mean, Na'Vi, they crushed in game number 2. Momotaru crushed in game... Yeah, this is the game number 2. Look at that percentage. I mean, just a Choppy, just looking so confident, 4%. And then this final moment here, I think it was just... I mean, got to be a bit of a throw. That 100% has to feel like a throw for Na'Vi. They were so far ahead in that third game. And it was a complete disaster in the end there. But I have to say, Momotaru towards the end there, they played completely perfectly. I mean, every single minute detail had to go right for them to clinch that game.
Man, what a story we have already got shaping up. 3-2, Momotaru in the lead. Let's look at how things have started to change up just as a result of this last one, because yes, as you can see, Momotaru have now made it onto the upper bracket finals, and they've only got one more match to win in order to make it on. Now, Momotaru and, of course, our players, or rather our teams, in the second upper bracket match of Effort Result, Feasible Gaming 0, these players were sort of rotating out that, like, top 8 sort of positioning just outside of the top 4, Effort Result, of course, being in the top 4. And I would say that there's actually a realistic shot for Momotaru to go ahead and qualify through the upper bracket. Only one more match sits between them, but it will be against the victor between Effort Result and Feasible Gaming 0.
Already seen one upset today, and you know, is there a chance that we'll see another? This is going to be one of the closer matches for sure. As a result, as you mentioned, they are not among, for example, the big sort of 5 teams in East Asia. They're a team that has made 1 or 2 monthly finals, but here in the RCL, they've consistently made every single season, and that's why they deserve to be here. Feasible Gaming, though, they've got 2 rosters. Feasible Gaming Zero in particular, I do believe that they showed up, managed to get a decent run inside Season 2, and that's the reason why they punched their ticket here. So just based on the sort of consistency that Effort Result are pulling, they should be the favorites, but every time they play already, they give me heart attacks.
It is always like an edge of your seat type situation seeing these guys play, which makes it just such a wonderful matchup here in our second match of the day. And it won't even be the last time we see them. I mean, it is double elimination for a reason. It is not just to make things fair, it's also because we like watching these guys play. We love seeing the top talent in East Asia face each other. So we are providing them that very platform to compete upon. So let's start talking about our next matchup. It is going to be Effort Result versus Feasible Gaming Zero, and we're going to get started here on Dry Season.
Gonna be a pretty dry one. Yeah. Apologies for the slight delay. Just double checking a bunch of the names here before we go in there. Yeah, especially because of the fact that you're like, I have to translate on the spot half the Japanese that I'm reading and then try to figure out which player that we're gonna be seeing here. But yeah, we are looking at Wahochi on the side of Effort Result here. Looking spiffy as always. This is the same setup that he streams from. You can kind of see him flexing at the new bags in the background. Meanwhile, on the side of Feasible Gaming, yeah, I think that might be Nem actually. Yeah, it is Nem.
That's what he really looks like.
To decipher that. So yeah, I mean, Nem's looking pretty cute here with his plushies. Love the plushie meta here going on, and I love the fact that Momotaru actually showed their face. By the way, I didn't really shout that out. They're one of the few teams that are a bit shy, and looks like they actually decided to show half their face in the dark. But we're gonna wrap to commentate here, and once again, double kit bans on both teams. I mean, they're learning from the rival esports lesson yesterday that this brawler cannot be let through unless you're basically insane and you want to lose. So they're both going to be banning it, and quick first pick there on the Gene here now, getting the second pull on board on Feasible Gaming Zero as well. It's going to be a tough game for the Carl.
I think it will be, because if there's anything that Carl hates, it is getting stunned. Even worse is getting pulled. I feel like Gene and Carl are natural enemies. I think Gene is top of the food chain there, and really the same goes for Gray. I don't see any real Gray synergy. Like, there's a potential for RT to split top half from bottom half and say like, hey guys, you mind if I'm like Jackie now, and then go through the TP from there. Like, I see the potential there. In terms of why exactly this RT is appearing here though, I can be a little bit lost. Like, I see their potential being for like forcing the Carl away, being a really bad target for Bonnie to jump on especially. But besides that, as long as no one's on top of him, then he is going to be a bit of a weaker sniper.
100% agreed here. It's one of the easier snipers to dodge. But East Asia is all about ego, right? I mean, gotta put it out there. They think that the shots have aimbot. Inherently, they think they can diff anybody, and I guess the pairing of the Gene RT is also something that has to be mentioned. It's infinite value that you can get here. It's just that this doesn't really seem like a dry season comp on the side of Feasible Gaming Zero. It feels more like a shooting star comp, if you get what I mean. I think this comp, if you told me it was for shooting star, I think it would be perfectly reasonable here. They still managed to get an excellent early game though. Looks like they got that first blood kill onto Naipishu. It's gonna be that Naipishu, by the way, from the same Naipishu that carried Zeta Division 9-0 in the last monthly final, by the way.
Yeah, he's that one. So let's just keep a close eye on him and see what he's able to do. He was the substitute for Shetampo, and I think Carl is a brawler that Shetampo historically loves. What a pull on the Gina Zur! My goodness, Nem. We'll keep an eye on him, too. If you're Naipishu, then you gotta have to keep a watchful eye on this Gene, knowing that you can be pulled out of position, you have shorter range, you're within range of the Gene pull, and you don't really have a genuine way of escaping. We'll see Effort Result, though, descend upon Feasible Gaming Zero. They've got one kill already, but retaliation from Sun keeps Feasible Gaming Zero in competitive standing. As far as stars, they've only got a 1-star lead, however.
holding on to this lead is going to be a big challenge for them. I mean, Effort Result have already shown what they can do once they encroach deeply on this position. And looking at Sun's dimensional doors there, I can expect that there's going to be some cheeky defensive maneuvers that they could do here. Any emergency lane swap, so to speak, could come into play here once you see the commitment come in from Effort Result. But they're waiting for the clock. They know that there's no reason to really push in here. I think they've started to spy out that Ru Zhao is the target, and he's going to be the first one to go down here. Now it's all turns on Get. Try to get out of there. Yeah, Nem flashed the pull. Nightpishu was just like, nah, I'm not staying any longer.
Yeah, not really interested in staying near your pole, but it's going to be inevitable because there's no more room to back up. Nightpishu jukes out the pole. 2 seconds to go. What a long pull. That kept him stunned just long enough for Feasible Gaming Zero to come back. What a play.
I've been sent to the back of my seat with that one. That was an insane trade there. I think it was a long pull there from the Gray to send the, you know, the car kind of through the meat blender of the RT. Honestly, I've got to have an instant replay of that. Hope we got that because, man, I mean, that was I don't even understand. My brain can't comprehend how that managed to pull off a comeback, but I guess that's what's happening today. I mean, Feasible Gaming this time, though, they didn't manage to get first blood here. Instead, it's going to be Nightpishu and manages to get the kill onto Nem for now a 3-0 lead in the early game.
3-star lead is looking pretty good for Effort Results. Better than their efforts resulted in previously, but Feasible Gaming Zero have some plans as long as they have these pulls, and they've got one on Ginazura already, and here comes Carl to punish. Sun's got the TP away, but he's going deep into enemy territory. I think this is one that thinks ahead because they know that they want to have some aggressive option to get into the enemy side, but it totally flopped. Got things way too aggressive. Missed pull for Gene. Now things are falling apart for Feasible Gaming Zero.
Another TP in there from Ru Zhao on that left lane. Tried to, you know, cosplay his Jackie impression. Another pull there from Sun. Not going to even be connecting here. Nem's going to be just tapped up by Ginazura and Wahochi. This dynamic duo of Effort Result just effortlessly synergizing here. Ru Zhao once again, you know, doing his impression of a Jackie once again, but he's just feeding himself to the wolves. This is not even a good position. We see Nightpishu even smelling more blood. Wahochi goes for one. Nightpishu goes for another. They come back. It's a team high five of all three of them. They've got 18 stars in their pocket. It's going to be a real tough one for Feasible Gaming to come back.
Literally one kill for Effort Result, and this is all over. Is it mathematically possible for Feasible Gaming Zero to come back from this? They're certainly going to give it their best effort. Need some serious kills out here. Wahochi now looking to upset Ru Zhao. Now with a hypercharged super. That's one. Now they've made it away with a 1-star blue star lead. Incredible. And I just can't believe it.
I can't breathe, Reddy. What did I just witness? What did I just witness? What?
The player cam says it all. I mean, the rejoicing from this Waddle Dee is off the charts. My goodness. Yeah, I'm going to need an instant replay on that one. Let's take a look back at what exactly just happened. You had a couple of last-second comebacks. There was this one where Feasible Gaming Zero got the blue star lead, and then they made it happen again.
I mean, you were saying mathematically possible, something along those lines, you know, could they even come back? And then next thing I see, a fragmented position from the entirety of Effort Result, right? Split on all three in positions, each of the three players individually trying to commit ritual suicide. That is literally the only way that Feasible Gaming Zero could have won. Wahochi jumps into Ru Zhao's hypercharged meat blender style. Nightpishu goes for some kind of stalling play in the backlines, gets pinched out by two, and I don't even know what happened to the last guy. I don't know how he died. I looked away, I looked at chat, I looked up, they were all dead.
It's as if the void called to them and like beckoned them to say, yes, you must super on the RT as Bonnie Yes, do it. And they didn't have the wherewithal to resist and said, you know what, fate's calling, and this set has got to go to Feasible Gaming Zero. I suppose the universe finds a way. Huh? You can be ahead by a ridiculous margin. Feasible Gaming Zero will still find a way to make it happen, even if it's by apparent mind control to make Effort Result suicide into them. Well, Effort Results still have control over their own destiny, I would hope. And we'll see how they shape things up on Kaboom Canyon. Bans are out, and the first pick is in. It's Bonnie from Feasible Gaming Zero. I feel like the counters to this one are obvious. Just a question of whether Effort Result go for it. I think Bell is just like the way to deal with a Bonnie at long range. You can keep mid-control that way too. Just my personal opinion, and they also have last pick to go for it as well. They want to go for something safe.
Very flexible, and it's the premium sort of long-range brawler now in a lot of modes at the moment, and off the back of the hypercharge, we already saw how good it could be when you're not jumping into RT. Sorry, I gotta mention it one time again, but here I don't really think we expect to see that. Instead of a result though, they've already led out with this Cordelia's first pick. In part of their 2-3 here, it's going to be the designated defender that they have, but it has sort of interesting applications as well. I mean, it's one of the few brawlers that can just bypass that mid wall, jump straight into the mid, use that additional move speed that it does have, and just generate an insane amount of pressure. Blocks out a lot of the usual suspects as well, like things like Kenji, things like those divers like Miko. They can't really just blindly go into a Cordelia's either.
Okay, so Cordelia's counters in mind. Here comes the Bell from Effort Result. I low-key expected it to appear a little bit later in the draft if it were picked out at all, given that, you know, it's not really a power pick, and it is like a direct response to this Bonnie. Here comes Eve from Feasible Gaming Zero. They've got an easy way to float in. Yeah, because see, Kaboom Canyon, as far as heist maps go, is an interesting one because it's not just about like pushing to the enemy side, having the aggression. It's a control-based map as well. You do have stuff like the Chuck, the Melody. Okay, that obviously just like pushes all out aggressive, but this is about keeping that mid-control. Tara, this is peculiar. Now, this is one that relies super heavily on those mid bushes. At this point, as Effort Result, you just go for like Amber. I mean, it's good
Amber,
into the
yeah.
Eve, yeah, into the Tara. I feel like the choice is kind of obvious for them, but maybe,
I think Carl's
yeah,
fine
Carl,
as well.
another viable one.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get that initial mid control.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Nice,
I mean,
good call.
wow, already we're so good at doing this. Yeah, wow. I mean, we totally should just retire from casting and just be coaches
Be
and stuff for this
drafters?
East Asian.
Yeah.
We'll just be drafters for East Asian, and then they'll win worlds, right? I mean, totally. We're that good at this game. Well, no, I mean, Feasible Gaming Zero kind of made it easy, right? I mean, this is a. Can I say it's a dated comp, honestly? I mean, Eve
Go for it.
and Tara in the same comp, and you know, no real big attack here. It's just Bonnie getting chip damage off every single jump. I don't want to jinx it again, honestly. I mean, I feel Effort Result have a really solid comp here, but Feasible Gaming Zero, I had the same feeling last game, and they really surprised me. So
Okay, well, analyzing the interactions, Gina Zur goes in with the flying hook right off the bat. We'll see an exchange on the right side that leaves Nim ahead by a couple of kills, and Gina Zur, that issue has now been dealt with. Rajal has also gotten his very first super. That's an excellent trade for Feasible Gaming Zero. And here come the babies. Gina Zur won't be able to do that much against them because they're coming in from two different sides at the same time. Wahochi even opts to tank one of them. Now looking for the pinch on a Rujao, but the guy's so slippery. He's like covered himself in oil, and none of these shots are hitting, and they're all slipping off of him. I digress. Effort Result. They're only behind by a small margin, and now they've taken the lead with Nai Pishu right on top of that safe and getting the first shield off.
in the backline, though, I mean, they did trade it out with the Bonnie on the safe as well. Genius is just going to corner him and just, you know, slice and dice goes Ru Zhao here. But it's 3 brawlers now on top of this Feasible Gaming Zero safe. And I don't see a way that they could defend it. They've got Ru Zhao now here on the side trying to get a pinch going here. But you've got 3 shots to block. Yeah, you got a Hypercharge Super there from Sun. But too little too late, my dear. Not going to be enough. Not going to be able to stop even a single brawler there. This is the Effort Result that I am a little bit more familiar with.
Indeed it is, because, well, I think we were equally shocked in the last set to see them at the last second lose by the breath of a blue star and just make some just obvious mistakes towards the end of game number 2. So now they're back in their typical form, playing nice and controlled to get forward. They got the initial position with Carl like they wanted. Wahochi is tapping like crazy. Night Pishu will fall on the right side, but that's fine. That's just part of Cordelius' job. He got in, he did the damage. Now he's got free passage back onto this mid. If he wants to use the jump, he can, but he's instead going to try and pursue Sun on the right side. Don't know why Sun wasn't attacking him either, but the guy's going for so much stuff at once, ends up getting the kill, but what a bizarre interaction.
Oh man, I mean, Eve is just having the worst employee award of the year right now, just completely zoned out by Wahochi in the back. I mean, wondering why he's playing an Eve instead of an Angelo. Oh right, because it was banned, and for some reason I had to pick Eve. Now instead though, they're suffering. There's no damage coming through. The one decent mid control that they have is gone. Rujiao wants to FaceTime things, sends the babies in to do the trick for here, but Ginaza is just gonna slice and dice, bring it down here. Hypercharge Super Death from Sun is gonna tear open the entirety of the mid push though. This is the first time that Feasible Gaming Zero have a little bit of breathing room, but make no mistake, percentages wise, they're super far behind.
Yeah, emphasis on a little bit, because they don't have a shield keeping them safe. It's only 10% between them and literally losing the game. They've at least gotten effort results safe down a little bit further. That's another shield coming out of it, but Feasible Gaming Zero is losing some pretty serious damage on their safe. It's down to 2%. Someone could sneeze on that box of steel and it would crumble apart. That's what Cordelius is hoping to do as he penetrates through to the enemy side in the Shadow Realm. What can you really do? And that is a win for Night Pishu and the crew. Effort result equalize the score at 1-1.
Okay, both teams now tying up 1-1. Realistically, in effort results of Psyche, it should be a 2-0, right? I mean, to them, they've got to feel that they threw the first 2 games. I mean, both the way that it went down there, it felt honestly a bit lucky from the side of Feasible Gaming Zero. Not to take away from their efforts from game number 1, by the way. I think game number 1, effort result, Feasible Gaming Zero, the pulls were on point, the defense was good. It's just that when they got bottlenecked inside the base, and then they had to pull some Hail Mary to win. So that I can forgive. But the 18-star comeback, till now, it haunts me. So this one, though, I think it's more deserved there for effort result. That they had the much more, I wouldn't even say better comp. It's just updated, guys. I mean, Cordelius is a thing now. I mean, you know, aggro in the meta is a thing, and it's been a thing for quite a while. You can't just draft Heist triple control and expect it to work anymore.
That, and also the emphasis on keeping that mid control, it was just too much. Feasible Gaming Zero, I think, also drafted themselves into just a poor position. You and I both clocked it, and we had different methods. I liked yours better, the Carl response to Tara Shades and Eve Pets at the same time, slice right through it. There is a reason that Eve, for example, is, you know, a strong barrel. It's because she spawns all those pets, but there's also a reason why she's not top priority, which is because she's countered by very meta things. Carl, he has been very meta for a very long time. Well done for effort result. They are sticking with the times. They have got that Cordelius locked down. It was really their win condition because, as you can see, it did get the most safe damage too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, brilliant last pick from them, and I think a gross overreaction from the side of Feasible Gaming Zero. But that's in the past now. We're in the present, where we're taking over double Swoosh here. Looking at the bans once again, Kit, Kaze, Tara on the side of Feasible Gaming Zero. So we're using the Kit as the indicator. Yep, it's the indicator. It's the indicator for this patch, right? Effort result this time though, it's still going to be the Cordelius being their first pick here, and gotta say, this is one of the maps where, till now, honestly, even my end, I've discussed this with a few pros, and I don't even know if it's that good necessarily. Yes, there's a lot of decent tank matchups here, but surprisingly, Cordelius, for example, going up into a matchup for example, Frank, it's not the easiest of matchups to go into. You can farm your supers and eventually you'll try to go into the gem carry instead. But yeah, even bros like Lily have parity against that Cordelius here. So I don't know if this is the best the first pick's effort result could have gone for, if they just felt pressured that they had to go for it first to deny Feasible Gaming that option down the line.
That's kind of what I'm thinking with, is just that, look, the Cordelius is open. We got to go for it. Plenty of things for Feasible Gaming Zero to go for at the moment. They go for this Lily and then for the Charlie that could typically shrug it off. But also we saw Charlie played here earlier. Wasn't really a big game changer. Was just sort of there in many contexts. Still, Amber is banned, so that could be a pretty solid option for them. But it's not like Charlie's this must counter brawler. She is usually the brawler that counters. Now, if a result have a couple of picks that they can choose to counter with, they're going to want to keep some eyes on the Lily. I was wondering if they'd go ahead and like pick a Jean here just to get some vision on the Lily, but Jae-Young is able to do something fairly similar, just, you know, not as efficient as Jean when it comes to checking those bushes, and he is going to have some like pretty decent stopping power in terms of damage. You know, pop the gadget for additional damage and then fire off your healing attacks, but it's not going to be enough to deal with a Lily on his own. It's going to take more from effort result, something that's focused around knowing where that Lily is, and no, not a squeak this time. I think Kenji is definitely the right approach to take. I like this matchup for effort result.
I'm just seeing them hate on this Charlie. This Jae-Young, this Kenji selection, it's just more and more hate picks on to basically this Charlie selection, trying to punish it as hard as possible as the gem carrier. And as you said, they've already got sufficiently enough checks there for this Lily. I mean, the best check is really just team play, right? I mean, the guy goes vanish, you clump up between your Jae-Young plus your Cordelius, or just, you know, two brawlers really. Anything plus the Jae-Young's weakened warrior is more than sufficient to burst it down. Feasible Gaming Zero, once again, I don't know if they're playing with the previous patch or what, or if Chester is like the, you know, just the math here. I mean, if this was a few patches ago, I would tell you that this would work. Chester against Kenji is absolutely fine, but you throw the Cordelius into the mix and suddenly I'm not too convinced.
I start to wonder as well. The criticism, at least the way that you put it in the last game, in the last set, was that this Feasible Gaming Zero comp, it's like outdated, you know, it's just like barely expired. And once again, this is the last meta. This is playing the Chester specifically as a way to deal with the Kenji. And it is pretty reliant on keeping that matchup going. Rujao has to find Jean Azur, and he's locking in, getting in close range, and popping the heal to stay alive. Nem has got the kill as well. It's 4 gems for him. Not so ideal to have them over his head, but at least they're on the side of Feasible Gaming Zero.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, even if they manage, I mean, he's gonna try and transfer it back to Sun. Yeah, I think intentionally taking that death there is kind of a good thing for them. Nice discipline there onto Sun to save the super there. Well, Hochi is gonna be eating up the slow over here. Nemia doesn't really know where to go here. Opts to go there onto that left side, gets 1 kill. Now it's gonna be able to chain off to a second and nearly a third. Rujao even cleans up, flanking there from the back. Every single gem goes back the way of Feasible Gaming Zero. Rujao now fires off the nuke inside the center, changes it off to a second onto 9P Shu. Gina Zer, the next one to fall. And I'm sorry, Feasible Gaming Zero, for calling your strategy dated, because your team play absolutely is not. Nem on his mechanical prowess, just exemplary this game. It's not over yet. 6 seconds to go there. Gina Zer's got a hypercharge going, but he's just so far away. Max Rage can't even catch Son here. Not gonna find the connection. And Feasible Gaming Zero, they're back on the board here with another game win.
I am absolutely blown away by Rujao on this Chester. That was 3 hypercharge supers chained in a row to keep that round safe. We'll see if he's able to replicate that success. Effort result needs to play cautiously around this troublesome Chester. He's occupying the right side, looking for this matchup specifically against Jean Azur, who's going for the Charlie matchup where he knows he's much more favored, but still ends up getting shut down to the face. Feasible Gaming Zero are still trying to find their footing on this point. What a juke from Nai-P Shu, but down come the walls as Rujao is starting to get these bombs out.
A real messy game here. Rujao now showing that Chester is indeed still very much flavored here. He's got the decent matchups for a reason here, up against Nai-P Shu as well. Gonna be bursting out Genius on the right lane. Just completely underestimated the damage output that Rujao can output here. And Nem there doing a similar thing here, just going head first in there. Rujao gets lucky with the stun there, and then unlucky with the heal immediately after that. Bit of karma going his way.
Naipi Shu, despite having 6 gems, has no reservations about coming on the right side, but maybe he should have. Now the whole team is going to have to pay the price. Naipi Shu thankfully stays alive. He's got Nem in the Shadow Realm, which, you know what? Nem is a Shadow Realm native on this Lily, so maybe it isn't too much of an issue. And Gene Azur is made well aware of the positioning here. Comes Rujao in with a Hypercharge, gets some poison onto Wahochi, but that's really all he's going to get. Now Sun looks for the super, not going to go for our Naipi Shu. That's trigger discipline right there. Knew that Naipi Shu was going to be out of range, decided to just save it as stopping power for when Naipi Shu attempts to push in again, or when Kenji gets a little bit too aggressive. Looks like a free kill for Feasible Gaming 0, and they've now tied up the gem count, and they've got the control now that Nem has gotten yet another kill.
So unfortunate, Naipi Shu's carrying gems here. I think it's really lowering the strength of the comp here, not allowing this guy to flourish here. But on the backlines, though, Gene Azur is the one that's popping off. He's got that hypercharge available, but Nem's got one of his own. Gets one, gets the kill back, and then immediately cycles back to his teammates. Naipi Shu, though, spies the target onto Rujao, but it is a trap. He got one kill there. Move, beautiful dodges there on the backlines. Doesn't fall to Nem there. Sun manages to get the connection, though. Nonetheless, Gene Azur now picks up all the gems. Wahochi trades out another kill. Feasible Gaming now are the one trying desperately, clawing at any potential kind of retake, but they're out of resources. Nem doesn't have a hypercharge. Yes, he can connect with the super here, but Gene Azur has too much bulk, too much healing to get through here. An effort result in this third set. They're not going to concede just yet.
No, not quite, but a close call that was. It was nearly Feasible Gaming 0 walking away with yet another set under their belts. And came down to just a bit of clutchery on that left side. It was absolute chaos over really a treasure trove of gems that found themselves on the ground and then in the clutches of Gene Azur as he dashed back to safety. Total chaos. Biggest thing here was that Chester was not nearly as effective. We'll see Gene Azur being so mindful of the gap that he needs to keep between himself and the enemies. Now a super in, additional damage against Rujao, and he repositions away from the Chester and onto a favorable matchup and positioning.
Looks much better this game for the side of effort result. Cocoon goes out there onto Sun, but there's no follow-up from the team there. Rujao is not even interested in this matchup anymore. It looks like the plan from Feasible Gaming 0, the call that's been made, is to send Nem to deal with Gene Azur instead. Don't know if that's a gamble that will pay off, but at the moment, though, Sun managed to win. Naipi Shu claiming himself as the native of the Shadow Realm as well, but they are super duper behind in the gems.
Well, Nem's got a kill. It does count for something. He's got a Hypercharge and Super 2. Just wants to get onto Wahochi. He's got it. Shadow Realm out. Excellent timing from Nem. Didn't quite get the additional 3 gems that he wanted, but they're still going to be able to shrug off Gene Azur. Now, Naipi Shu attempts to get an upset in close range versus Sun. He'll be able to get a couple of hits, but that's really it. Oh! And he's caught immediately as he comes out of the Shadow Realm. Feasible Gaming 0 at this point, they can afford to just play for tempo. They have the abilities, and they have a sizable gap versus effort result. They only need a couple of gems. They've got the one that Gene Azur tried to snipe, and they're going for even more. Warpath down to Wahochi. You know what? That's fine. Rujao said, nah, actually, I'm going to kill him anyway. Feasible Gaming 0 with 10 gems and a countdown.
We've even got that hypercharge Lily available just defensively. Rujao's got a hypercharge of his own as well. He's going to be going on to Naipi Shu. He just deletes him off the face of the earth. Wahochi is desperately trying to get a tie here going, but I guess the math just doesn't work out. I mean, I guess he realized he also didn't really have a push there to really save this game. And Feasible Gaming 0 now. They lead the set 2-1.
It's looking pretty good. I think they've looked so solid here. We saw effort result come alive in set number 2. I think really they just had a better draft. Like Feasible Gaming 0, they left themselves too vulnerable with what they went for in set number 2. Set number 3, you begin to think like, okay guys, really? Like the Chester, is that what you're going for? But I'd say that Kenji can sometimes get like a similar eye-rolling type reaction when he's selected. Feels like kind of the old meta. And so, hey, look, if it's yesterday's meta, then let's use yesterday's counters too.
I think it's perfectly reasonable, honestly. Gotta give. Yep. Sorry, guys. Sorry for calling out the Chester pick. You know, I mean, this double, I mean, what is it? Triple nuke that you mentioned? That was huge. I mean, just cycling out here. I mean, he got a third one online towards the very end there as well. And then here, Nem just trying to save the game time and time again. I mean, he's definitely my MVP so far here. Oh, it was almost a close one. Yeah, even this one at the very end there. managing to, this was the big moment that allowed Feasible Gaming to just get that major breathing room necessary to then eventually, just as you said, just clock the tempo where necessary. And yeah, Feasible Gaming 0, I mean, you got Knife issue on this Cordelis, but Nem, I mean, he's 13 to 10 here, 120,000 damage under his belt. I mean, it's not as much as the Chester, but I gotta tell you, this guy's got 19 gems that he held on to towards the end of the game. So this guy is really stealing loads of gems.
Yeah, I think another thing worth noting is that Gene Azur on this Kenji, that's a reaction to that Lily, and then Rizhao fires back with a Chester that's pretty much just to deal with the Kenji, and he got the most damage in the lobby. Just awesome drafting from Feasible Gaming 0, really shrewd. I don't think they felt like too confined by just, you know, the quote, what is good right now, and played pretty reactively into effort result. I'd say a lot of times we like frown upon that, but in this instance, it was definitely the right way to go. Chester wound up being so awesome there and wound up winning them the set, puts them one set away from victory and heading on to the next stage in the winner's bracket.
OG leads out here with this Hank selection on Sneaky Fields. And looking at the bans, you got this Hank and the Draco plus the Lumi. It's literally just all to set this one pick up. And then on the side of Feasible Gaming 0, I mean, double mirror bans now is putting it in a really awkward spot where they've really opened up the draft. Now, I was thinking immediately that with the Hank, the most easy way to punish it is to just open up the entirety of the map and play from there. This is not really a Willow angle. Sneaky Fields is a little bit harder to execute Willow unless you have the last pick. And then there's a Meg. For whatever reason, there is a Meg. And I've got to say that this has to be some kind of hidden preparation. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm no longer going to be doubtful because so far Feasible Gaming 0, they may seem to be a little bit old when it comes to the comms, but it still is absolutely logical.
Okay. I like the Ash into the Hank. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. Sneaky Fields is just the place to do this. And Feasible Gaming 0, they have this last pick. I think that they can pick up a thrower as a last selection here. So something to keep in the cards. Effort Result may decide to preempt that and say, you know what, actually, we would like to play Shade. Thank you very much. And it would be a pretty good thing to go for here. They already have that Hank, which is usually so good into Shade. Now they have Nita, which should be able to clip around those walls. Same goes into Ash. You have like a couple of brawlers that have piercing damage, so they'll be able to get rid of those rats. I think Nita is a far better matchup into the Ash. It is a bit contingent, however, on Ash being low leveled. Once Ash is higher leveled, then Nita is going to have a bit of a troublesome contender in the range game, the wall clipping game, the damage game. He's going to far exceed her, so she's going to have to keep him in check as reliably as possible. Also, she is very countered by a thrower, which Effort Result, look, they have speed. They could run over Feasible Gaming 0 here, but at this point, I feel like Feasible Gaming 0, you just got to go for like a Barley. It would be good into the Hank, into the Nita as well. There's no wall break anywhere, so it's not a major concern that you're going to lose your walls.
Lots of options here. I think Feasible Gaming 0 can go. If you really want to opt for another tank, I don't even mind Rosa here, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, you're spot on with the drafts today, really.
Thank you.
The Barley selection, yeah. Better than the Willow, for sure. I think in this scenario, when there's two very defined matchups and you're not looking to play for some kind of ball control, you just want to win matchups, then Barley has got to be your go-to. And I think on Sneaky Fields, you with the Vision gear, it's actually very viable. You got to know the fact that there's absolutely no wall break, and you know what, I'm gonna go prepare that bracket graphic.
That confident, that is over here and now, like, all right, man, hey, look, put your money where your mouth is. I will be making sure to hold you to your word. Feasible Gaming 0 with evidently the dominant draft, going for the thing that I expected in this Barley last selection. It is just known that Barley is pretty much the best thing that you can play into Anita. Also a strong thrower to play into the Hank. I think it just makes so much sense. We'll see Effort Result start to create their control. They've got Nem sneaking around the right or the left side. This is what I was talking about. How once Ash is leveled up is actually a decent matchup into that Nita. Feasible Gaming 0 have control of the bushes. They've eliminated Wahochi. They have full control of mid, and they're starting to push up into Effort Result's defensive line.
It is the beginning of the end for Effort Result here. The last call seems to open up. That big swipe there from Sun there, backed up by the hypercharge there. Shu's going to make a desperation play to try and corner the ball all by himself there. You even see a desperation weekend warrior being popped out there. Nem is just going to be able to walk this one in. Genizer didn't have the super in time to fire it off there, but even in that position, just impossible to defend from. Even if they got that kill there and reset the ball control, it was just going to be an endless spawn trap with the Barley.
Troublesome for Effort Result at the moment because they're losing their grip. They're still trying to identify what is an actual point of entry for us. Well, Shu's kind of found one. He's got some respectable damage onto the Barley. Now here comes a response though. Hypercharge rats out from Nem. Now pursuing Ginazur on the right side. No good, in fact. It's going to be a winning matchup for Effort Result, but Sun pushes in. It is so vital for them to keep this mid control. Hypercharge popped for Sun. It's going to be additional damage, but he knows he's not going to beat Wahochi in the 1v1. That's where Rujao comes in to lay one little shot into him and keep his teammate alive.
Oh, it's just so difficult, honestly, for Effort Result. I'm hard-pressed to think of a way that they can come back inside this game. Might be of an opportunity of, a cheeky Hyper Bear, maybe. Hyper Bear, I mean, like, Hypercharge, Hyper Bear at the good time when Meg has no bot, Ash has no rage, and, it's basically, like, something like this. Yeah, okay, so Rujao has to die. Now Shu gets his super in the backline, just makes a beeline across there to pick up the ball there, over to Wahochi. Should be, they're just stalling for time. They want to play for overtime as quickly as, they want to get there. The walls coming down is going to severely weaken Rujao, and this could be the Effort Result opportunity to capitalize on.
Okay, but who wins the range game at the moment? Barley doesn't get his usual thing that he gets to flex his ability to fire over walls. Shu closes out the left side. Last call. Rujao manages to intercept the ball right before being taken down. Nem also falls. Not a good moment for Feasible Gaming 0. In the final few seconds before OT, Effort Result tied the score, breaking down all these walls, and now Ginazura has one of the best abilities you can have in OT. That's the Hank. Hypercharge walks right at them, and Effort Result keep this alive.
Oh man, could have really looked really bad there, and I think they capitalized off Feasible Gaming's mispositioning super duper well there. Shu especially, I think once he realized the right flank was completely uncontested and the shots from the Barley weren't really checking properly, managed to just infiltrate onto the right, and the whole Feasible Gaming comp collapsed. Make no mistake, I still believe that Feasible Gaming 0 have the full comp advantage here, but gameplay wise, they still have to execute perfectly to make this one work.
Perfect execution required, and pretty decent execution achieved by Effort Result towards the end of game number 1. But Feasible Gaming 0 have the upper hand, but they need to keep this Barley online. That was a pretty good takedown from Wahochi to keep Feasible Gaming 0 back in their spawn. It's kind of the first time that we've truly seen Effort Result keep this mid control. We saw them take it late in game number 1 when we thought things were kind of over. Then the walls broke down and mid didn't really matter anymore. They've got some annoying brawlers to deal with in the bushes, especially Shu. Now looking for the pinch on a Nem. That's going to be 1-2 attacks. Hypercharge Bear out. Nem has the upper hand, but his teammates are so far estranged that Ginazur is almost able to get the one shot on him. Ash was able to heal up just a little bit to stay alive. Now within one-shot range, taken down, but here comes a Hypercharge last call from Barley.
Oh yeah, Rujao almost went down there to Shu's aggression. Genius is now going to be getting a pinch together with him. Sun is going to be the next one. No, actually getting the kill instead on to Genius. And now Nem's not scouted. Wahochi had to pop the heal there to stay up. Ball control is firmly with the Feasible Gaming roster. Nem's going to start his run down there onto Shu. Sends out an entire array of robotic rats, but now it's going to come back to deal with this bear. In the right lane, though, it's not going so well for Rujao. Genius has been allowed in, and so has Sun. Kind of disconnected from the ball there. A bit of a messy situation. Shu even had to waste his bear. That's a huge resource, a huge blunder. And now one goal down for the side of Effort Result.
And it could have been a Hypercharge Bear too. Shu would have used that to keep control on the left side. What is Ash with no rage going to realistically do against that? Well, he's going to barrel through when there's nothing in the way. Nem with the reception all the way from midfield, puts it in the goal, and secures a game for Feasible Gaming 0 to tie the set and get match point.
I'm so worried for our our supposedly seeded team here. I mean, for result here throughout the entirety of the seasons, they've always shown up, but they've always been shown in early exit in tournaments. In Feasible Gaming 0, though, they really seem to be showing up here today to play. But if they want to take down effort result and send them to the lower bracket up against Na'Vi, they've got to bring effort result down here. It starts from here. I mean, they've got full mid control at the moment. Sun just got to farm up his bot once again. Eventually, once Rujao gets access to the last call, there should be an easy position to break out of, which is why, as a result, they've got to step on the gas. They send Naipishu out.
Naipishu now taken down. Jinazur trying to be the hero and defend this ball on the right side, but no dice. Wahochi with some damage in the healing form still is not good enough to take down this push-in from Feasible Gaming 0. They're at a 1-goal deficit at the moment. Thankfully, Naipishu is going to be popping this Hypercharge Bear onto Ash on the left side. Super troublesome, and just look at how much space he's able to create.
Space is really, really useful, though, but you know what would be even more useful? A goal. At the moment, that's what they don't have. Wahochi doesn't have the position. It's still two brawlers that are just, they're just basically being stuck behind by Rujao. He finally goes down here to Jean Azur here, but without the big Nita bat to come in to continue to provide that support, there's no way to break through this two-man defense between Nem and Sun. So much health points to get through, and just not enough damage.
1 minute to go for effort result. For their lives here in the upper bracket to get a goal, they've got to pass up to the top left. Nem also smartly stays out of range. He had that speed to get away from Naipishu. It's going to be another shielded bear, this time popping Meg out of the mech. Hypercharge pop for Naipishu. Looks for the kill, but needs to line up these shots. Here's Nem, but he's got to fight off yet another Hypercharge bear. Backed into the corner with that ball. It's wide open. Jinazur's trying to take it. Could be a pass over to the left side. Wahochi's got to pick it up. He's got the heals. Pass over to Naipishu. And what a goal for effort result to tie things up.
Beautiful series of passes there, and I think Naipishu has got to be credited for it. He kickstarted that entire chain of plays that allowed them to stay alive here, and that's exactly what effort result planned to do. They are indeed staying alive. Naipishu now fighting for his life in this mid all by himself. Gets the bear out. It's not a hyper bear though, but you're still one member down inside overtime. That's huge danger there. Passes across. Feasible Gaming 0. They show they can pass too. They make the exact same play as effort result, and they're going to be progressing onwards to a match win. They will be going to the upper bracket final up against Momotaru. And can't you believe it, Reddy? Both Na'Vi and effort result are in the lower bracket.
This is ridiculous. I feel like we're not on Earth. Like, we're, in some kind of opposite reality. Momotaru in Feasible Gaming 0 in the upper bracket final. In Na'Vi and effort result, one of these teams will be eliminated in the lower bracket. That is not what I had on my predictions card. I had Na'Vi and effort result both making it through to day 3 of the playoffs, and my expectations have been entirely flipped. I am blown away, but each one of these victories is absolutely deserved. Though Feasible Gaming 0, they didn't even have to bring this one to set number 5 to get their victory. That's ridiculous. And oh my goodness. Okay, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but down here there's a little crown on Feasible Gaming 0, and it unintentionally fits perfectly on top of their logo. So random, whatever. Let's talk about some of the most hype moments from that last set, because there were a lot of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's basically just every single goal, right? I mean, we're looking at some of these final moments, but they were really set up just individually by a lot of these plays here. This is a nice clear there from Naipishu, but ended up being the beginning of the end for them in this game. I mean, and now this beautiful pass here, another beautiful. I mean, we're going to be seeing so many beautiful passes here already.
Truly, and I mean, that's not even the last one. This was the one that I loved the most. This pass over to Nem to finish the job, really, but that was only one goal. We saw this incredible bounce pass over to Naipishu that was so carefully orchestrated. But the final one to shut down effort result was this over here. A little tip off to Nem, back to Sun. That is what you call a pick right there. They executed it well. It's interesting to see the basketball moves now emerge in Brawl Stars. Emergent gameplay is what they call it, and my goodness. Okay, I'm going to say my attention was fixated on Nim for the majority of this. I did not expect Sun to have such an unreal KD.
Oh yeah, the Meg is so underrated. I mean, it did so much damage and provides so much stability throughout. Something that a lot of people don't realize, Meg is one of the highest hypercharge rates in the game. I mean, it's already easy for him to get a super, and inside a matchup here where it's up against a Hank, a Jaeyong, and a Nita, you're gonna expect that this Sun's gonna get a lot of value. We saw a lot of suicide bombs happen as well. I mean, he's using that star power that lets him do 2,000 damage when the bot explodes, and I actually saw a fair number of kills where Sun literally ran it down to use it as knockback to set up for Nem's abilities and kills. And I mean, I've got to say, when I saw the mech first pick, my eyebrows raised once again, you know, thinking to myself, is this either a hyper modern pick or a really, really dated one? And gotta say, they made it look modern. They made it look really polished.
This is insane, man. I can't believe that we've made it to this stage, but now we've seen our two favorite teams, and this is not me picking sides. It's just by the teams that we expected to win. They've been knocked down to the lower bracket. It's going to be Na'Vi versus Effer Result coming up next, and Momotaru versus Feasible Gaming 0 soon to follow in the upper bracket final.
Yeah, this is a rough bracket to look at. I mean, I am always going to be rooting, right, for teams that I'm more familiar with. And I gotta say, I was happy that Momotaru pulled off the sweep up against Na'Vi. But here, I can't help but feel, you know, I've seen every result every single season of the RCL. And now one of them is going to eliminate the other. We're either going to lose Na'Vi or for a result. And that just breaks my heart.
It's just insane to me, really, that we've made it to this stage, but this is the reality that we are looking at. Let's start talking about how this match is going to go down. Na'Vi versus Effer Result is our loser semifinals. Someone is going home by the end of this match, and we're going to get things kicked off on Hideout.
Never would have been expecting this. Gotta say, let's take some predictions just really quickly, right? So we do this every time. After we've seen the performances from both Na'Vi and Effort Result, which team do you think, you know, is convincing you a little bit more that they deserve to stay? Because honestly, I think both teams have made follies on equal parts. Effort Result, I still gotta say, I mean, it just feels like every single game, just Naipishu just trying so hard to lift this team up to a whole different level, and he just can't do it. I mean, it's like there's only so much he can do.
I am personally a Na'Vi believer, okay? That is me right there. So I'm gonna say Na'Vi. I feel like you're leaning more towards Effort Result.
I don't know. I want the storyline where Naipishu deserves to make a day 3, but not like this. Not when it's up against Ajapi, Kuru, and Ryuhei, who I have a really personal bias because I know these guys. Like, I physically met these guys. So there's naturally a little bit of that. Oh man, I really, really want to see them make day 3, and I want to see Na'Vi go up against, you know, join up against Rival and Reject and the rest of the gang inside day 3. I don't want to see a Na'Vi Momotaru or a Na'Vi Feasible Gaming rematch. But specifically for Effort Result, I just feel it's so sad for Naipishu. I mean, we've yapped over this entire draft, and we could analyze it real quick here. And just off the backs of it, I mean, it's typical Na'Vi basically here. I mean, it's gonna be a real hit on that Ollie, gonna be piloting this up. We're expecting a Chapi, most likely gonna be on this Gene. And Effort Result here, they've opted to draft a triple range comp, but without the wall break inside the mix. So both teams, I think it's very clear cut with what kind of ideas they want to play for. Very heavy aggression on Na'Vi and very heavy control on the side of Effort Result. Neither team here are playing outside of their style. They don't seem to be phased by the losses. Let's see who manages to stay in.
Folks, by the end of this match, we will have sent home our very first team from Group B. It's between Na'Vi and Effort Result, two unlikely candidates to be eliminated in our first elimination match of this group stage. But the teams that they face in the upper bracket earn their way to the finals, and only one between these two have even a chance of making it to the playoffs by this point. We're kicking off Na'Vi versus Effort Result, and already the aggression is so evident from Na'Vi. You could tell. You knew from history, Spoo, that they were going to be playing aggressively. They put a Choppy in this position in the top left. Now exchanging out Ryohei over there, and in comes Naipishu. He looks for 2, gets 1 for his troubles, and Ryohei is on the retreat.
It's going to be an epic battle of proportions here. Kuru now, beautiful dodges there inside there. Oh, man. Just jiggling left and right there. Almost went down into Wahochi. As well as Nem here, I believe, was piloting this. And it's Gina here. Sorry, not Nem. Nem is qualified. I mean, sorry, it's in the upper bracket already. But Nestek's not going to be popped out there. Gina doesn't really get the clip here. Somehow they can't really capitalize. Double Nestek was popped out and not a single kill to the side of Effort Result. That just feels a bit sloppy to me.
It did feel kind of sloppy from Effort Result. You saw the nest egg was triggered by a Choppy, and what did he have to do? He literally walked in a straight line, and Ginazur expected him to back dodge. No, it didn't happen. The mind game's over here now, though. There's a stun from Naipishu. Ryohei is going to get the stun, and he has enough ammo to get the job done. Nicely executed by Na'Vi. They've got a 1-star lead now. 20 seconds to go. And it's time for Effort Result to push in their final attempt, whether they have the utility or not. Ginazur and Naipishu both have to be close to their supers. Ginazur undoubtedly is close, just needs a couple of shots over here. Naipishu now with the super, attempting to stay away from Kuru. Now an attempt at a pinch from Ginazur on the right side, but it's not going to amount to anything. Na'Vi are safe and sound up and above Effort Result.
Skilled up for sure. I mean, Na'Vi here, they understand our comp so much more than what Effort Result are trying to do. And once again, I see Naipishu trying so hard to carry this entire team on his back. I mean, he's playing hyper aggressive here, getting all these hyper charges, going for really high risk, high reward plays. But against Na'Vi, Ryohei is equally quick on the trigger there. As soon as Naipishu jumps, he's there every single time to punish him. So this is really great reactive play from Na'Vi and really playing to their strengths as a team.
Na'Vi were playing in their best form. They know exactly the kind of Brawl Stars that they want to play. Oh my goodness! Talk about a nest egg value right there. Wahochi is redeeming himself with the slow and the follow-up 3 shots in a row. Ryohei gets the pinch on an Naipishu and a jump away on the retreat. Kuru with a kill and a little celebratory spin, but also, you know, just keeping the thumbs warm. Naipishu in, gets 1, gets 2. And back inside the cannon, where he's going to be safe and sound with plenty of HP and the range.
Kuru had to pop out the shield there. Had to get a little bit of damage there. Go in, booster. Kind of missed all 3 of the shots afterwards. Beautiful pull there from a Choppy, though. Max range onto the playmaker, Naipishu. Didn't have anywhere to run there. And Ryohei was there just to prevent the extraction. Wahochi could have really pushed up a little bit further there, played a bit of aggression here. But as a result, now they have the tempo lead. They're trying to push in here. Ryohei starts with the hypnosis play. Can't really bring down Naipishu in time. There's a support from the rest of the team here. It's forcing Gina to jump out here. As a result, they seem to maintain control of the position. With a well-timed kill onto Kuru, they could find a comeback here.
Effort Result, they're only 3 stars behind. Ryohei, Kuru, both viable targets, but only one of those is going to get them that blue star that they need to break the tie. Ryohei also is closed in. Naipishu's looking for big value, going to look for a Choppy, and manages to live to tell the tale. Ginazur even still can jump away. It's a 2-star lead. Ryohei's going to give it everything he's got, but he's missing the ammo. Pushing it on the back right, dodging out the shots as well, but cannot get the final shot to sit down this Angelo. Effort Result have got a game.
This is going to be the closest one just yet. Both of these teams, I mean, I'm just imagining them going blow for blow in hypothetical ring of sorts. A jump from, you know, Naipishu followed by a jump by Ryohei. Ginazur getting in on the action. A Choppy showing off with the pulls as well. I mean, every single player, they're just so eager to stay in this tournament. And it all starts here on this 3rd round of this hideout set. Na'Vi, they've got the blue, they don't have the blue star this time. And they're playing really, really aggressive to try and get that early first blood, but they can't seem to find headway into the Effort Result formation.
Not quite yet. What they are being mindful of is this nest egg on the left side. They know it's there. They have the team comms. And here comes another one. Yeah, I guess screw it. We're just not going to play this lane at this point, Wahochi. Why would we ever step foot over there? No one wants to do it. Here comes a hypercharge. That stun on exit and on re-entry. And the teamwork from Wahochi secures the 2-piece for effort result.
My goodness, Naipishu. This is a reason why this guy was the stand-in for the Lord Sitetampo himself. I mean, I'm not really drawing parallels in that regard, but this guy is really making Bonnie look like a tank here. Real hit now though. This is the normal tank here. Is going to be going in there. Gets the extraction out from Kuru. Even allows the Chapi to play a little bit hyper-aggressive here. I don't think he's going to be making it out here. Neither does Ryohei. A little bit too greedy from them. A Chapi wanted to be the sacrificial lamb to save Ryohei there, but so did Ryohei. They both had the same ideas. They were both trying to find a play where both of them could get home safely, but it just couldn't happen.
Look at this minefield on the left lane, like no one wants to walk up there. Naipishu might have gotten a bit big for his britches. No, not quite. Survives with Ryohei dropped to 1 tap, and he could not afford to keep pushing in. That's going to be a pull for a Choppy. A little jump away from Gina Zur, but still can't escape the clutches of a Choppy. Hypercharge from a Choppy. It's going to be a stun on Dekuru, and the nest eggs ring true. 2 in a row. Effort result. Finish off set number 1 with a win.
That was really, really impressive Bonnie gameplay there from the side of Effort Result there. And I mean, it really just feels like now Effort Result are channeling another way of playing here. Support Naipishu as best as he can. I mean, you know, he will be trying to carry as many games as he can. He is a playmaker after all. That is his role inside the team. And on the side of Na'Vi though, I honestly felt like, in a weird way, all 3 members of the team at individual points were trying to make plays for themselves, and they weren't really playing together as a cohesive unit like they did in game number 1, and that's where they really start to fall short here. Kuru is the leader and starts with the team of Na'Vi, got most of the last hits there, and towards the end of the game we even saw a Chapi trying to make solo plays on his own onto Jean Azur. You mentioned the minefield. They were just so traumatized by that combination. Like, as soon as they trip on, you know, the nest egg, they knew a star cannon from Naipishu was coming.
It was really entertaining to watch, like legitimately 4 nest eggs stacked up on the left side, and at some point a Choppy on the Gene still said, yeah, actually I'm going to walk through it, and did so without tripping any of them. It was just towards the end of the game he tripped a couple on his way out, and that was really all that was necessary for Effort Result to lock that one away. So far, you know what? I know what you're thinking. No, I'm not regretting my prediction. I still think Na'Vi have it in them. It was a super competitive set just a moment ago. Effort Result undoubtedly played it better though, and I'm not just saying that because of the result. I'm saying it because of the, you know, efforts, the actions that transpired along the way. And don't worry folks, we're going to be saying that all day long. As long as Effort Result is in the competition, we will be making jokes about that name. First pick from Effort Result is this Bonnie. Logical response to it on Kaboom Canyon. At some point, the bell surely arrives.
Same equation that we've seen. It did work out the last time, but Effort Result here. I'm sure they've learned from that draft. After all, I do believe they were the ones that did pilot it. Could be wrong there. Double checking. I think, yeah, they were the one that were on the opposite end of it. So they completely understand how it works. Now, Ryohei though, their idea just seems to be to pick up this Charlie first, and I've never been a fan of it, honestly, in Kaboom Canyon. I think unless you already see the Miko, the Miko selection already make an appearance there, it's a bit early to reveal this Charlie selection. I mean, it's prophylactic. I don't mind it, but this is sort of the slight weakness, I think, at the way that Na'Vi like to think about their drafts. Maybe sometimes a little bit too far ahead, predicting, you know, Effort Results potential threats a little bit too early. They developed this melody as a threat of their own, which I don't mind. I mean, this is the Ryohei special here, or a Chappie special, depending on which role gets swapped out.
And when I see this melody picked alongside the Charlie, this could just be me, but I'm low-key like, yeah, but does anyone want to play a Charlie into a melody anyway? Because once that melody is on top of your safe, then cocooning her is a really bad idea. Those notes don't go away while she's in the cocoon. They just keep hitting your safe while she is totally untouchable by you and your team. Also, the Charlie, like, those spiders are going to get sliced right through by that Carl. So another worthy shout out. Effort Result have a great way to get into the mid. I should also add, they can use that flying hook, which they have equipped right now. Bow. All right. We haven't seen this one in actually a hot minute. Bow, the math makes sense just because, what, he's able to get more damage on the safe. You can break through that shield, get additional damage with the use of the gadget, right? That explodes them all at once. Also, he's got a hypercharge, put a bunch of mines down the safe. I mean, whoever dislikes that. But I have to watch Gene Azur switch up that gadget to be truly convinced. Otherwise, I am a little lost on what he's doing here.
Okay, so the last picks from both teams are a little bit interesting and need a little bit more brain thinking to figure out exactly what the team is thinking about. Na'Vi, this Angelo is really just for mid priority. They see the Carl's got flying hook and they want to compete for that mid control at the very least. Just, you know, float up the water and then try to get the vision tap on him. And then from them, just get a Choppy to slowly drive him out. As a result, though, the side of this bow, honestly, it's just a simple way to deal with the melody. I mean, the shots of the bow are honestly not the easiest to dodge, and you can space the melody fairly well. The shots are really fat, and even when the melody dives in, auto-aiming as a bow is not that bad of an idea into it. It has a tremendous amount of damage if you can get the connections, which is why Ryohei, yeah, he's dodging Wahochi like the plague.
Okay, doing his best also, but is inevitably going to feed some little shots here and there. Just keeping the distance for now. Really the main thing with the Charlie was to let that melody succeed and then to otherwise just not drag the team down. Basically, she's not expected to be a power player here, and she can also do something into Carl, you know, maybe stick him in a cocoon if he starts to get a bit too aggressive and then pop the super. So far, Choppy has been able to hold this lane, which is really all that is asked of him. An Effort Result will do their best to punch through. A Choppy, he's very shrewd about waiting for the perfect moment, sort of at the apex of Gene Azur's movement to go for that cocoon. Auto aims a few more shots. He's got his hypercharge, and he's pretty close to his next super.
And Na'Vi in this game, the one look really, really stable there. 9P though is going to drill through a Choppy there inside that form. Transforms back inside the cannon form where he is a little bit weak here. It's going to be doing a little bit of chip damage with Ryohei. Nice interaction there. Just get inside 9P, get the notes of damage from the inside out. A little bit of melody tech there, working really well in his favor. Sends 9P back to the spawn. And Na'Vi, they have full tempo control, full mid control as well, and should be able to start building up a big lead here after they get this defense locked down.
Yeah, that might be enough to slow them down pretty substantially, especially with Gene Azur locking himself in this corner and a miscommunication on the team comms. Ryohei, you go to the bottom, I'll go to the top, and off of that, they've missed an opportunity to retake mid-control. Wahochi has all those mines and a devastating 10,000 damage has struck the Na'Vi safe, but Ryohei's exactly where he needs to be. Look at all that damage pouring in onto the safe. He's popped through 2 shields by himself.
Oh yeah, Kuru now wants to join the party as well with hypercharge of his own. Beautiful movement by him. Dodges out everything between Nightbishu, Jin Azur, and the air behind him. Oh my goodness. Master Fletcher as well. This guy is Hawkeye in action. They're doing all kinds of trick shots to get this one done. This is a different beast that we're looking at here this game. This Na'Vi is one that I recognize a little bit better.
Yup, yeah, that's an Evi that I was predicting on. Yeah, that one. Look, they come alive here in set number 2. They looked consistent. They had that defense that they needed. And I think really just a Choppy on that Charlie's one that stuck out to me. Not because he's necessarily not because he was necessarily a power player, but more just because he didn't like fold on that lane. Though this time doubling up on the lane was enough to push through. The Charlie is really only here to take that pick away from Effort Result so they don't have something great into the melody. And otherwise she doesn't have like great matchups here. So seeing a Choppy still pull his weight on that brawler is just wonderful and helps Na'Vi flourish.
And now we're here on the defense as well. A nice concerted effort between him and a Choppy. Manages to stem the bleeding inside their safe. And now start to mount a small push here on that right lane. Starts here with Ryohei though. Manages to dive in there. The residual of him should be brought down there between Nightbishu and Gene Azur. Jumps there, immediately becomes a cocoon. Should be brought down there by Kuru. Had the shot ready for him. It's still mid-control there for Na'Vi, but this is the strength of the Angelo. This is what the pick is designed to do.
Angelo still trying to keep pressure, but ends up getting taken down. And Melody's just going to go for it. Ryoki in with 3 supers, got to the enemy side, and popped off that shield. It's exactly what he needed to do, because he's going to be returning with a hypercharge. Couple shots on the Jinazur should get him close, but I think he needs 3 shots to do it. Yes, he has the hypercharge and the super at the same time. And with that shield taken down, he'll be able to pop through probably a couple of them on his next venture over there. As a result, have the remote detonation on those mines, something to be kept in mind also. Night Pichu with a hypercharge defense, but another hypercharge effort has struck their safe. Ryohi pops through 1 shield, looks for the kill, nearly gets rewarded heavily for his efforts, but falls just short of getting a double kill.
A very important second shield to be broken here. 50% now on the side of the effort results safe, and Ryohei is already back for the cycle. Desangelo being able to just control the mid for so long that Ryohei can just comfortably go in there, bang his head against the safe one time, die, come back, rinse, and repeat. Now we see an effort from effort result to go in there, but Ryohei is already on the mark. Trades it out with Jinazur. That is 1 attacker for 1 defender, and meanwhile on the other side, Na'Vi pile on the effort result safe. This one most certainly goes to Na'Vi.
No doubt. Make that a 2-0 for Na'Vi in this second set. They had the control so consistently, it's precisely what they needed. And they also enabled Ryohi on this Melody. We should have some highlights also of just the domination that they had with this particular combo. They have Ryohi on the save. This was him popping through 2 shields in rapid succession. Night Pichu wasn't really able to deal with him on his own, but did shrewdly reposition over towards mid. And then once again, you just see the combination of Charlie, of Melody making this work. Every single hype moment from this last set was Melody getting in and doing work, and a Choppy playing this Charlie and basically not being bad, but actually being quite good on it in a selection that literally existed to take it away from effort result in terms of defensive maneuvers.
Going back to that draft, the bow is the one that I think we've got to be raising eyebrows about. I mean, you had a weird reaction to it. I had the similar reaction where, I mean, in principle, I understand why it's picked, but if it's the design of it was to check the Melody, well, then put it on the Melody, because it wasn't on the Melody for the most of the game. They had Night Pichu on that matchup for most of the time, and then as soon as that Melody got the super, the entire bow's idea became irrelevant. I mean, forget about safe damage. You're not even getting past mid.
It's very true. It's unfortunate for effort result. Like, you know, they tried to cook a little bit, but they just didn't have really the right rhythm. They didn't have bow where he needed to be. Melody was such a troublesome one. You saw Cordelius banned out. Like, obviously he's going to be banned. He's banned here on Hard Rock Mine too, but you leave open just a little opening for Melody to sneak through, and she's going to punish that. These picks, these power picks, they're always viable as long as their main counters are banned out. Speaking of the bans here for Na'Vi, they've gotten rid of some of the best first pick options that you have here. The Cat, usually a tell of who has that first selection. Lily also just devastating on a Hard Rock Mine. Bakaze still sneaks her way through. You can only ban 3 brawlers after all. But Na'Vi, once more, come at us with this Charlie, and they've proven themselves so capable of playing it. A Choppy, I wouldn't be shocked if the brawler finds its way into his hands, and it should be a worthy defense against Kaze.
I'm thinking about tanks here for the moment.
Huh?
It's gonna be Bo immediately from the side of Na'Vi. This is a Ryohei special, and I think it's just it's a comfort pick for him, honestly speaking. It's not the best of picks. Let's put that out there. I mean, forget about picking optimally for APAC. This is APAC after all. I mean, between this Na'Vi roster and, you know, basically every other top tier East Asian team, you could put all their brains together and we probably wouldn't draft at even half of EMEA's efforts, and that's the truth. But where we do shine is pretty much in just popping off wherever we can pop off. And I guess here on effort result, they're allowing that a little bit. This Tara selection up against the ball is a 50-50 matchup. Now that you get the stun on the ball online, there's actually a lot of interactions where Bo will win that one, even if Tara has a gravity ready. So yeah, I mean, I mean, in theory, I guess this is for a different matchup that hasn't really shown itself, and as a result, they still need a gem carrier to go for. Janet is still very much available, and I think that's probably the best choice there. up against this Charlie and the Bull. No, they're gonna go for the Crow instead. I think I'm perfectly fine with that as well. Importantly, just needed some kind of safety and escape mechanism.
Also a mid, like they needed something. They have a couple of solid lanes, and now just something for mid. And maybe they were also concerned about, like, what is it going to be from Navi? Are they going to run the Charlie mid? Probably not. Any sort of healing would be a struggle for them. So Crow should cover that base, but also is generally a consistent mid into whatever Navi might decide is worth going for. Gus would be a solid way for them to round this out. Really, really safe, but no, Janet makes an appearance. This makes sense. I was curious what was going to be the response to the Tara specifically, whether Effort Result also would like take an option away from Navi with their final selection. They went for Crow instead. You can see also that Effort Result banned out the Sandy, which is viable here, also just something that's good to Tara, leaves things open for them. Janet, though, we've like discussed it to death, but in case you're just tuning in, pretty good in Tara because it fires right through the shades and it has a couple of ways of getting away from a Tara that fires a pull at you and is trying to get all your gems.
Yep, it's a mixture of safety, utility. I mean, Janet's in a really good spot now. We've even seen some bans happen yesterday. I believe Janet was actually, you know, bans were committed for this bro to just take it out because it was just way too annoying, though. I mean, it's still vulnerable at the moment, right? Like, Naipishu almost got that kill on Achapi. That was really, really scary for him. Kurudo was going to be able to get this kill onto Naipishu. Didn't really chain up the crits there nicely. And so that's going to be a slight, you know, tilt here in that positioning. Kurudo's just going to back off here, though. Doesn't really press the advantage too much.
If a result are just playing for consistency at the moment, we see Achapi also popping down that gadget to avoid taking damage versus Gene Azure. Playing for that tempo is what it's about. On the right side, Ryohi's attempting to get in range versus Kaze, who is smartly staying in that assassin form. Now I bet she wished she was dashing away, though. Ryohi claims a kill on the right side. Meanwhile, on the left, Wahochi is this imminent threat. He does have the super, going to go for it versus Kuru. Kuru snags himself and manages to almost escape. Puts a brawler in the cocoon on the back left. Achapi tries to stay away from Naipishu. Now up to the skies, looking for the kill on Wahochi. Ends up bringing him just to the brink of defeat, and now has to keep the distance from Naipishu. A couple shots will shut him down. Actually, the math didn't work out. He was alive by only 10 HP, and look at how much of an issue these shades are for Kuru on the left side. Effort Result are all up in their business, even threatening Achapi once more, while Hochi was such a troublesome brawler to remove from these backlines.
I bought them so much time. They're already at countdown. Genius has got 9, Naipishu's got 1. Gonna make a beeline back to the base, but all the abilities are online on the side of the Navi roster. Hypercharge even on Kuru, but a trait there from Mahochi's gonna end that prematurely. And with the stun missing there from Ryohi, I don't think they have the damage to bring down. Yep, bit of a spoiler there, but guess who won? A team won. Trigger, happy. That is Effort Result winning, I believe.
Yes. Just so you know, whenever you see that happen, it's because they won. It doesn't get triggered by anything else. Just a meta commentary on the production here. A lot of it is automated, so whenever it's detected a team has won, then you're gonna see that. So, you know, sometimes the spectator lags behind it just a little bit. But yeah, it's 2 seconds away from being revealed, the grand reveal that, my goodness, the team that was ahead by 10 gems and they were safe and sound, they won. Shocker. Let's see if Navi can put themselves in that position this time, though. They've gotten that same victory on the right side as last time, but this time Ryohi's also broken open more walls. It's another victory on the left side that brings Kuru up to 5 gems, and now a 6th is threatening to become theirs as long as he's cautious around Wahochi, potentially having a super soon. Achapi is also pushing back the Effort Result line of scrimmage effectively. Navi, they're at 8-0. This is a much better kickoff for them than it was in game number 1.
Ryohi with another stun of his own, going to be going for yet another there. Genius just jumps in there, turns into a cocoon there from Kuru. Now the entirety of Navi is going to be able to come in there and bring him down. Naipishu, though, has some plans of his own here to stop this countdown from going through. goes in there with that hypercharge super of his own and starts with a pinch there with Wahochi, but cleaned up there by Ryohi, and the countdown restarts here for the side of Na'Vi. Genius is going solo mission here at the moment here. May not be the smartest of ideas, but manages to actually draw Ryohi away here. By some time, the hypercharge super goes out. No connection from him. That should be Na'Vi is good. So yeah, they're gonna be tying this one up 1-1 in this set.
Hard-fought victory for Na'Vi results in a 1-1 scoreline. And I feel like every single match that we have seen so far today, we are only in the third one of the day, but every single one has come to a tie in set number 2 at 1-1. As tied up as it's going to get unless we go to a double match point. In between these two, I wouldn't be so disappointed. Two favorites in the competition. We want to see as much out of them as possible. I anticipate, though, that Na'Vi are fully capable of replicating what they did in the last game this time. Tough guy, star power on the bull will keep him alive. Night Pishu says, actually, it's not worth fighting this. I'm going to take advantage of the void and control on the bottom left to start pushing back a Choppy and Kuru. But Ryohi has had other plans. Whoa, okay, went for Night Pishu. Is a little bit delayed there. Night Pishu eventually does get taken down. And Na'Vi have so much control as a result of the efforts from Ryohi.
We're back to a different kind of effort result here, where it looks like Night Pishu is trying so hard to carry the weight of the world on him. Not the way that he should really be playing here, ideally. Wahochi now's got Gravity online at the very least here. I think he should be making a beeline there, trying to get some infiltration pressure going, but just being completely blocked out there by Ryohi. You can just look at them dancing on the left side. Ryohi's trying to bait the Gravity. He finally gets it out there. It is successful, but it's the time that has been bought here. We see all the hypercharge going out here. They're trying to go in on Takuru there, but guess what, guys? The bull has returned. Bodyguard Ryohei is here to protect Momotaru here on that gem carrier. And that's going to be a set win delivered for Na'Vi.
Yeah, and Momokuru's cam delivered as well. I suppose that's his child, the, Scrappy in the background. Hello, Scrappy. Well, Momotaru has got everything in his hands with a lead for Na'Vi so far. At this critical moment, a turning point for the match, Na'Vi takes the lead in set number 3. Let's reflect on how exactly this one went down. I want to see these stats, and you will see that it was just all around more consistent for Na'Vi. Kuru this time played the Charlie. I kind of expected that it might be a Choppy on it, given that he played that Charlie to great success in set number 2. But no, Kuru took up those reins and did an awesome job. Stayed alive so consistently, held on to those gems when it mattered. And Ryohi, the bodyguard, the aggressive one, was such a force of nature in game number 2 and 3 to keep this in the clutches of Na'Vi.
And mind you, this was just an immediate bull pick. 2-3. They saw one Kaze, and Ryohei said, that's enough for me. That's good enough for me. I'll punish this Kaze the whole game. I'll make it so much more difficult for Night Pishu. Night Pishu was still so slippery throughout the entire game, so props to him for creating such big threats throughout this game. But now they are down 2-1. It is sneaky fields though, so this map may bring back some trauma for every result. They did just get sent to the lower bracket from this map. But hey, guess what? Na'Vi, they're a different team. This is a new chance for effort result to come back, and you can see the Hank ban. I mean, they self-banned the Hank here. So they're afraid of their own strats here, I think. And we won't be seeing any of that here in this game. But what has made it through, though, is it easy mode happening once again? Is this really happening? Is this how we're going to go to set 5? Really?
Smartphones, stupid people. That is what they say. If you disagree with the kit selection, then I think you might find yourself throwing out some stupid people accusations. So effort result, they lead with this kit. I honestly think the kit cooks basically everywhere. And Na'Vi have left it wide open. But obviously they had some higher priorities in their minds, like the Frank more worthy of a ban than the kit. So what is Na'Vi's approach to this going to be? Is really my question. I personally can't think of much they would go for unless they're going like expressively anti-kit. Okay, like I can see Meg working. Maybe not Nita as much. Their last selection also is going to have to be like the ultimate anti-kit. And also Effort Result had the possibility of going some pretty synergistic stuff with the kit. I think it looks kind of doomed for Navi, not gonna lie. As soon as I see the kit, that is one of the like harbingers of doom.
Yeah, and I'm expecting full well that there should be an IP shoe kit. But when you mentioned pure counter comp for the kit, I think there are some ways that this math can work, but this is just the struggle of the kit in general. I mean, it's one thing to pick it synergistically. It's another thing that you just, because you pick it, you force so many reactions from the other for that one pick that becomes so easy to develop another counter comp. This Amber, I think, fills a similar type of role that I think they see that the Mac matchup is weak here, and even against the Nita, it's okay here as a mid selection, so they just should be looking for a final tank selection to go on that side lane. No, actually, for the result, they interpret the kit a little bit differently. They opt to use it a little bit more as a control playmaker. I don't really know if I agree with this. I mean, they're anticipating last pick selection from Navi to be a tank there, as it's sort of the only logical thing they can sort of pair this draft up left to deal with this kit.
I see the Nita. I see the thrower wide open, and I just have to wonder why, but I see a smile on Kuru's face, so they must be thinking of something like absolutely devious at the moment. Oh my god! And yes, it was the smile of, bro, I'm about to pick Mortis in comp. Yeah, sure. Let's have it. Let's see what they got. But, you know, keep in mind, no one is immune to the Willow mind control. Even a Mortis can be mind controlled and dribble and trick shot a goal on their own team. So I'm a little bit concerned for Navi, but I don't care who's playing the Mortis. I'm always here for it.
We saw it happen yesterday in Group A. Rival Esports did a similar thing to bring us to a set number 5. Look, I don't hate set 5s. In fact, I'm all for it here. But this time, though, this was a little bit more logical. It's on Ryohei, though, at the moment, and at the moment, he's dashing into walls. Not a great start from him. At the very least, they managed to secure some level of ball control, so it's not immediately over for them.
Not quite. Oh, but it's looking dicey. Naipishu is at risk. Whoa, little vault to the sky, but Mortis comes out on top. Now it's a pinch. Ryohei with a coiled snake gets the kill onto Amber. Looks for it. No! Intercepted by Naipishu. A dash forward, a dribble for Ryohei would have secured the goal, but he does have these supers that he needs. My goodness, this man's gliding on the latency. Kuru gets the goal, and this Mortis pick is not looking too bad at the moment.
You know what else isn't looking too bad, though? This kid, though, just going in so fast. No! Off the wall! It is not him! Naipishu, his magic just seems to be running out here. And they should be able to just pass this ball up here. Achapi's even got that hypercharge bed. Not even going to be using the hypercharge here. Allowing for Ryohei to just be the star of the show here. Another shot there from Kuru there, but he was stunned up. So that's going to allow Genizer to corner the ball. I think this is sufficient time. Yeah. As a result, managed to save this game off a beautiful stun there from Naipishu.
So many close moments here with the ball being intercepted on the goal line. Ryohei's going to go with the hypercharge. Looks for one. The fast bats are looking awesome, but he gets taken down by the burn. The freezer burn from the Ice Queen Amber. Kuru using the wide spread of that mag attack to go around the wall for a kill. Looked for the kill on Ginazur. Comes up empty-handed. Now Ryohei's got to go for something. Ends up getting a couple of chained targets on that super. Naipishu also is rewarded for his hypercharge in, but it wasn't really the greatest value. It's going to be a kill for sure onto Ryohei. Not the most important use of a gadget there from Ginazur, and Kuru manages to get a kill. This is a big opportunity for Ryohei to push in versus Ginazur, who does not have those dancing flames.
And now Ryohei going there, going in for more chaining supers that hits 1, hits 2 onto Naipishu, who's got no support, full ball control inside the Navi pocket. They're going to run away with this one. They got that first goal off the game. And now they're looking at match point, potentially eliminating Effort Result.
I just cannot believe that Mortis did what he just did. Usually you see a Mortis and it is shut down at every possible turn. But then when you start to look at the composition from Effort Result, you really do see the opening. Once the Dancing Flames have been expended, Ryohei should get good value. Heck, he was able to get a kill even with the Dancing Flames active. It's going to be Night Pishu being exploded away. Excellent synergy there for a Choppy. Also note that Wahochi is so vulnerable versus Ryohei. And you see the lack of delay between his attacks. Ryohei is just timing these things so wonderfully, getting one kill, looking for another, looks for a kill on Night Pishu, and the pass goes up to the enemy side. A Choppy dribbles it off the wall as well to get one goal, and they're just one away from victory.
It looks like Effort Result here, they got the kit easy mode activated, but then they wanted to make their lives difficult. But now with Ryohei mind controlled here, they didn't really pass the ball to him, so couldn't really get a goal scored in. Now Ryohei, vengeance is what he's searching for here for his fallen brethren. He goes for Wahochi first. Now, speed bats, double speed bats, just cleans house here. The entirety of Effort Result goes down to a single swipe of this man's scythe. Ladies and gentlemen, Na'Vi will not be denied. Unfortunately, Effort Result are going to be eliminated, but congratulations, Na'Vi, keep the dream alive.
Unfortunate, and it hurts. What a hard-fought journey throughout this entire series for Wahochi. It just didn't seem right for them to go down in the upper bracket. They fought for this position all season long, and they're being denied at the gates to the playoff. But it was a well-deserved, well-earned qualification to the stage. Effort Result will be our first team to go down here in Group B. Somehow, some way, with Feasible Gaming 0 in the upper bracket, Momotaru as well in the upper bracket. It just doesn't seem real, but we have to say goodbye. I want to look at some of these hype moments from the last set as well, because Mortis coming out here from Ryohei was just not on my bucket list for the day.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we got a treat. Like, Ryohei's Mortis in particular, I mean, he's got no hesitation. This final play he made here, just the double bats that he even got, we couldn't even catch it on camera. Like, the camera wasn't fast enough to even spot the action. That was how quick this man's APM was. Not gonna mince words too much. I mean, Effort Result, the comp here was just not it, really. I mean, the fact that Mortis was basically the hardest counter here and was able to just come in and just completely tear this comp to pieces just really was not a great exit there for Effort Result. But it happens. I mean, they got the kit, but then they couldn't really materialize with the rest of the comp.
Well, there you have it. Effort Result, despite, you know, everything they put in, they fall just short, going down in a 3-1 at the hands of Na'Vi, which means that now we get to talk about how this bracket has continued to shape up. Effort Result, they fall in the first round of the lower bracket. That's 3 matches out of the way and 2 more to go. Soon we're going to be headed over to the upper bracket finals where Momotaru will take on Feasible Gaming 0.
It's going to be a big one to watch for sure. I mean, between Momotaru and Feasible Gaming 0, these are the 2 underdogs that came in today. But now I think there are heroes, and one of them will be guaranteed qualification at this point to the to the day 3, and I'm so happy it's one of these 2 teams. It would be a pretty strange one, you know that our RCL playoffs goes exactly the way that we predicted. We totally didn't rig this in any way, and I'm glad that we actually get to see a bit more dynamic, you know, team placements here.
My goodness. This is going to be an exciting day 3, and we're not even there yet. Heck, we don't even know who exactly is going to be going there just yet. That is what our final 2 matches of the day are going to decide. One's going to produce our number 1 seed from Group B, and the one after that is going to produce our 2nd seed. It is only exciting stuff from now on. Just ahead of the jump, everyone, is going to be Momotaru versus Feasible Gaming 0. We're going to go to a quick break for just a moment here, and then we are going to be back for the last couple matches of the day. We'll see you soon. Well, that was a fun break. I hope you enjoyed those 3 minutes of silence as much as we did, as we got to stand up and walk around and get re-energized for the final and most important 2 matches of the day. Yeah, okay, it's a little intense. Come on, it's like Brawl Stars. It's only people literally qualifying to day 3. That is what these final 2 matches will decide. The upper bracket. You still have another chance if you get defeated here. You have to go down to the lower bracket, though, and you got to face Na'Vi. So Momotaru and Feasible Gaming 0, both of these teams are hoping to go ahead and secure their qualification now.
And to just reiterate, this is the winner's final. This isn't the loser's final where one of these teams gets eliminated. So they still got their second life. There is a world, ladies and gentlemen, where both these teams could qualify for playoffs, and I'm all for it. But here we're gonna be seeing which one of the 2 it will be to begin with. And it's gonna be on Hideout. I mean, we seem to see a lot of Hideout today. Not gonna lie. Is it map pool things? Really, someone's gonna look into that. I mean, I swear it's not random. I swear there's some kind of trend with the way that the maps are generated and stuff. Yeah, we'll take a look into that. And okay,
it's horizontal.
It's horizontal. He managed to rotate the cam here. Thank you, Nyadesu. I just want to point out, by the way, that so Nam's still a little bit shy here, but Momotaru was one of the teams that. So both of these teams actually turned down the invitation to play when we mentioned that they had to be on camera. But I love the fact that Momotaru they've got a player that with the confidence now to at least show the illuminated part of his face. So nothing else. Just playing in sheer darkness. I don't even know how he sees. I mean, my eyes would fry from it, but I'm all for it. So jump in, and these are our 2 contenders inside Hideout. Looking at the bans, 6 different bans across the board. And interestingly, look at Feasible Gaming 0. They are very, very targeted here. They banned out Brock and the Bell. These are 2 brawlers that you don't ban out unless there's some specific kind of comp here that you're pivoting towards that involves keeping the walls up.
Maybe they want like an Ollie or something. They want like a Gus Ollie. Maybe they've gone ahead and picked up this Bonnie. So they banned the Bell so that they could have a good Bonnie, basically, which it's not the only way to deal with Bonnie, but it is kind of the best way. Also, Bell is like so irritating to face here because as we saw previously, we saw Na'Vi do it. They put down, or may have been Effort Result actually, put down like 1 billion mines on a single lane so that no one can go through and like Jean gets tripped up over there. So Momotaru, they basically decide, okay, well, we're going to outrange the Bonnie. We'll be able to jump away if she jumps in. Kaze is going to have good mobility to get away too. So there is a definite response to this one specific pick from Feasible Gaming 0.
Oh yeah, and this is a different lead out that we're seeing here in the 2-3 turn. Kaze and Angelo, 2 selections that we don't usually see paired up. right? And in hideout so far, we haven't even been able to see Kaze a single time here. But the utility of the Kaze is to just die for that blue star. And it's got the invisibility to just get some nice pickoffs as well. It's a very high skill, high reward brawler here. Angelo is just basically the best assassin sharpshooter here. And wow, you were just completely on the money here for Feasible Gaming Zero's draft here. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a Gus Ollie specifically, but the reason why they picked up the gray is to deny the wall break fully. And then yeah, I mean, it's a decent selfish gray angle as well that it can go for. So this Feasible Gaming Zero comp just looks super modern here. I really dig it.
Just get the feeling, you know, why would you want walls not to break down? Well, it's something that needs those walls desperately. Ooh.
Wow.
Okay. Except that, like, Ollie's gonna destroy this thing, so I'm a little bit concerned. But yes.
I bet. Hear me out, all right? You say he gets destroyed. I think the way that they see this matchup going is that there's going to be a lot of trading in the early game. There's going to be some kills where Ollie gets a free kill onto Mr. P, but that inevitably gets the hypercharge online, and they don't see an easy way for Feasible Gaming Zero to break down that Mr. P porters. Once the hypercharge is online, they're just going to be playing around it relentlessly, and only Nem can stemmy that, and they're just going to keep targeting him. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't usually say this, but I actually like the Mr. P here.
Well, I am certainly looking forward to seeing it perform. It's just going to have to keep the distance is all. It's going to be the main struggle, keeping away from this Ollie, who's pressing him relentlessly. As long as you're able to juke out those shots from Angelo, then you should be fine. Look how Feasible Gaming Zero have moved as like this glob towards the upper right side once more. Now closing in versus Feasible Gaming. Now Sun under a serious threat on the left side, and here comes the first iteration of the Porters.
Here we go here. It's all the way back inside, tucked away inside the Momotaru base here. I mean, it's only got 2.8k health here, but then a big jump there from the Kaze is going to be leading out there, just capitalizing off the fact that there's just not enough damage to punish this Kaze. And I think that's the trend there for the Momotaru comp. It's the fact that they are just, they recognize that Feasible Gaming, they need to basically synergize between poles, between dimensional doors, between them getting hypnosis in order for them to get a kill. Rujao is going for a solo play. This is the opposite of synergy here. Nem follows up here, goes for a hero play by himself, but now it's just going to be a full team wipe instead. Just lambs to the slaughter. Ready.
Gosh, it's got to be so frustrating for Momotaru at the moment, as they're just struggling to keep this control. It's another one in from Nem. That's a pretty sizable margin for Momotaru at the moment. A little hook onto Mr. P, and the Porter to follow. And look, another Porter that's going to soak up a couple shots from Sun. 10 seconds to go. The best efforts of Feasible Gaming Zero in. They're going to lose one. At least they get a kill on the left side. Actually possible comeback. They would need 2 kills. But nonetheless, Momotaru get the win. And it's going to be 1 for Momotaru.
Yeah, they're not going to pull up a Feasible Gaming Zero where they can win 18-3 down. I mean, that ain't happening. Not happening today. Not happening against Momotaru. And, yeah. Yasuo is rocking it right now. I mean, he's really chilling it, and I'm starting to see a little bit of you know, the other Japanese players inside this guy as well. I mean, you can tell from his swagger that, you know, one day maybe he turns on the light and secretly this is Melty, but like in the dark, you know, you never know. But at the moment, he is absolutely destroying on this Mr. P. Got that first, you know, iteration of the Porters just so quickly, and I think it was a pivotal part of getting the defense there going. I love the fact that they've got the blue star and they're still going aggressive. Look, he's got the Porters up already within 30 seconds. I mean, how is this man doing this?
He's just being fed the damage. You have Feasible Gaming moving in with so much HP, Nem especially, and look at all that chip damage coming into him. Dropped down to just 97 HP by that poison from Angelo. They're now being crowded into the back left corner. Certainly, this onslaught from Momotaru is being assisted by the relentless Porters. Rujao does get the hypnosis and does get a trade. Nem stays alive with this blue star. Now the assault in from Rujao, but this is why Angelo is such an apt response to the Bonnie. You're able to jump away. Just never a good target for this Bonnie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a one-way trip most of the time. Unless you get a team wipe or something along the sorts, there's no way to really stop it here. Oh my god, they're even committing walking cane on the porters. And it's a hypercharged super. This is just endless amounts of annoyance onto Sun. It's generating so much pressure. Now Nam gonna be going in there, gets the hypnosis on that Mr. P. But there's no synergy. Rugel popped the hypercharge, ran straight into it. And wow, even committing the porters to just block the shots there. The entirety of Momotaru just covering for each other just so beautifully. I mean, now they're gonna be able to get some kills here at the very least, or will they? How is this happening already? I'm just staring at a blank here. Feasible Gaming Zero, they're just throwing everything at the wall here at Momotaru, and they can't get it done.
Jeez, what is happening at the moment? Momotaru, look, they have a responsive composition. Feasible Gaming Zero, they clearly came at this with a concerted strategy. They wanted the Bonnie. They got everything that they wanted. They got the Ollie. They got the great to deny even more wall break. And yet, the reactive play from Momotaru was simply superior. Now that is just awesome from Momotaru. And look, they can just keep on playing this way, where Feasible Gaming Zero played the Brawl Stars as they want to, and Momotaru just find the way to counter it. That's a winning strategy right there. It gets them one set up and one set closer to day 3 of the playoffs.
One step closer indeed. I mean, just looking off this hideout set alone, that's a 2-0 very quickly here. And the Mr. P, you were like, yeah, this Ollie is just gonna cook him. I'm like, bruh, there's no damage. Oh my god. And he's gonna farm so many supers. I mean, I saw, for those of y'all who know me in the Kalalas Cup, for example, I don't know how many of y'all actually followed that. Every day they first pick Mr. P there, and I complain about it all day. 6 days straight, I see Mr. P first pick, Mr. P first pick, and I say it never works, it never works, it never works, and it worked like 50-50, okay? I mean, it's SA. I don't know why it works there. But here, though, here, it felt like the perfect last pick in such, in a way that, I mean, I didn't really even expect, I didn't even theorize that it could be even useful, but man, I'm just so happy that we actually got to see a Penguin work out in a way that makes me excited.
Well, let's look at how it compared to everything else. And it does sit middle of the pack on the squad with the median damage, but for a Mr. P, I'd say that's pretty good. We'll see Feasible Gaming Zero across the way with just as a pale in comparison. You have this Bonnie that they specifically drafted for. They're like, get rid of the Bell. We don't want it. We want to have a good Bonnie. And then Bonnie does stuff like jumping on Angelo when I think it should have been Mr. P that was the prime target, because Kaze can dash away and Angelo can jump away. So Momotaru, hats off to them. They picked up a composition that was pretty solid.
We're going to be jumping into our set 2 very shortly, just resolving something in the background for a moment. But currently, Momotaru, they are indeed one setup.
Okay, well, we'll get a bit longer to reflect on what precisely happened for Momotaru, where, I mean, what? They saw what Feasible Gaming Zero were going to go for. Like, it was pretty obvious with this Bonnie supposedly being the power pick, and just played the stuff that countered it, pretty much. They stayed out of range. They had stuff with escape mechanisms, which is quite interesting to see that this isn't like the typical strategy that's employed. Or is it? The thing is, Feasible Gaming Zero, when they decided that they were going to ban specifically for the Bonnie, they left other valuable things open. And Momotaru curiously left those brawlers open as well. They decided, actually, we're not going to ban Angelo or Kaze, which would typically be the things to go for. And Feasible Gaming Zero, now they were kind of left in a curious situation, right? So that all said, and excuse that, we're just resetting things because they got into draft a little bit early. We need to have their friend links added. That's why the sides were swapped in the previous one. So just excuse us as we work through this.
Yeah, an RIP between us and Ready as we both say goodbye to what otherwise was at this point, I think, a perfect show. So yeah, I mean, now we can chill. Now the pressure is off, and now we can. I mean, this is near perfect, and so far, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of really positive comments in chat about the production and how great it's been. Yeah, this guy is the GOAT, dude. Yeah. Stop turning your head. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, that guy is the one that's responsible for all this, and he's responsible for making the world's best production possible that can be done.
Took it too far.
By no, hear me out. Like where else do you have a robot that's doing all of this? I mean, honestly, I'm the idiot here. That's the way that he explains it to me. He's just like, oh yeah, you know, like you need 30 people to do this. Well, guess what? I've got a machine doing it. So I'm like, how does it work? And then he shows me like things I can't. It's a manuscript. I don't know what I'm reading. But that's how he gets it done.
Any good programmer. Like any good programmer, I'm automating valuable people out of their jobs. I'm just messing. Yeah, a lot of what you see here is done automatically. So yeah, when you see the set win, okay. But to my credit, I could have turned off that trigger, but my mistake was I didn't think the entire match was going to be reset. I thought it was just going to be the set that was reset. So. Anyway, we're just resolving things on the back end. The issue is that just for transparent... Okay, you know what? Now I'm really disabling it. Now I'm really... Yeah, I've had it up to here with you, Spoo. I don't know what's going on the League Ops side, but it is being turned off right now. No more automation. No more nothing. Just me. That's right. That's what you wanted, right? For transparency's sake, folks, what's happening right now is that we need a player friended on Momotaru. And we had someone added for Momotaru, but they're like not playing today. And also, like, I don't know Japanese, and all the players' names are Japanese. So you could like give me a list of their roster, and you could give me the name of the player that plays for them, and I couldn't tell the difference because I don't know how to read that language. So that's my excuse. It's just one of the hazards of running an East Asian league when you don't know any East Asian languages. I think I've padded for enough time, Speed. Do we have any progress? Do we have someone friended?
Yeah, you can check your friend link. You should be getting a Japanese guy.
Wow, I mean, look at that.
I don't know which one you got, but you should have got a one.
Are you saying that you don't know Japanese either, Spoo?
Look. I know enough hiragana and katakana to read it, and I can tell you, but the problem is, what use is it if I tell you?
Well, you know what? That's true. Which player name were you telling me earlier? What were you telling me earlier? No, which player name was it?
Which player name? Added you?
Yeah, no. Earlier you said a player name, and I didn't Okay, hold on. I was like, yeah. Hey, so who's it on cam for Momotaru? And you're like, oh, that's Niadesu. I'm like, okay, so that means nothing to me. Because because their name isn't Niadesu. It's something in like, actually, I don't know the difference, katakana, hiragana, but it's in Japanese, and it doesn't look like NYADSU or DESU. I think we should have them in draft now.
I don't know. Right? Does this help if I say it's 3 characters? But you should have a friend link. You did get somebody, right?
Oh yeah, I got him added. Do we have draft?
Yeah. Okay, we can start.
Okay. Wonderful. I think we should be in draft. You know what, folks? You know, sometimes it's about the players, and sometimes it's the Spoo and Ready show. And this is definitely one of those podcast moments. But you know what? At least we don't have to vamp for, what was it, 35 minutes? There was one torturous moment on VSE where we had to talk for 35 minutes. And I will forgive them for it, but I will never forget that moment where we had maybe like one technical pause in the middle, and that was all we got. We had to keep talking like it was a podcast.
Oh yeah. Okay, we do have a draft underway. Is automation back online?
You know what? Okay, if I can trust you, then I'll turn it back on.
You can trust me now. We were resetting the maps because the players were getting different maps, and this is the limitations of the system. The maps are random, so I had to randomize the maps until they got the same map again. So We're lucky we're in set 2. Imagine you had to see that transition play 5 times every time to get to set 5 just for a reset. So,
yeah.
Anywho, we're on pit stop. And the kitty cat has been banned out. That's fantastic. So has Miko, Hank, Charlie, and Cordelius. I like these bans a lot. They've left quite a fair bit in. Momotaru, they're leading out with the berry. This is wow. Okay, speed run the draft. I guess they drafted already. So no analysis from us. We're just gonna see how it goes. But just off the books here, I'm seeing Jackie. Wait, Momotaru, did they really do this? Oh my goodness.
Okay,
oh
wait, explain it to me. You're seeing something that I'm not seeing?
I'm just shocked here. I mean, so I think it's a last pick Jackie. I mean, maybe okay, so let's assume that the pick order is a little bit off because maybe they just, reselected the same picks here. But it looks like this Jackie might have been a last pick selection that just counters the Lily and the Shade completely. This feels like complete dominance in the draft once again from Momotaru. I mean, Feasible Gaming Zero, they've got Jackie at home, literally. I mean, they're gonna leave Rujao on this RT at home to be the defender, but it is kind of punished there by this berry as well. So I really like the comp once again from Momotaru.
Okay, once more, they are playing reactively. They're afforded that privilege by the fact that they had the last pick. And Feasible Gaming Zero didn't really fully make something that was safeguarded against a strong last pick. Momotaru, they have survivability in mid, but do they have proper defense on their home front? Well, they've been dropped down to 91%, now down to 85. A few trades come out here. Jackie remains alive, hypercharge in hand. And she's going to stay there as long as Shade is threatening. It might actually be in Shade's best interest to go ahead and go for another kill, but here comes the hypercharge double pull. And you had to know this was coming!
Oh my god, is this Jackie super off my life? But here comes the meat blender from Rujao on that right side there. He's got the hypercharge online there, but they're still really far behind in terms of the damage here. He's going to be joining in on the offense there. It's just another suicide attempt there on the save. Jackie's just been the absolute best defender in the game. But Feasible Gaming Zero, they're not doing too bad themselves. They're down currently 1 layer of shielding here, but with the Jackie exiting the base, this could be... Nope, he's going back. Yep, he's going back already.
Well, all right. Back to the home front. Momotaru, though, continue their assault forward. Sun's going to look for some pretty big value. A little fancy footwork here from Kaze, but Sun is able to match that energy despite the best attempts of Kaze to dash out of the way. Momotaru still have their defensive option. It's this hypercharged Jackie once more. Really, it would be in Feasible Gaming Zero's best interest to go ahead and bait this out of Jackie or defeat her before Shade needs to come in, but Shade's stuck on defense. Just a few more shots from Kaze would seal the deal, and the assistance from that berry healing is just wonderful. Momotaru secure game number 1.
Beautiful draft there, honestly speaking. This Jackie pick, I'm a Jackie fan. I've been asking for a Jackie in pit stop for so long. I believe it is such an underrated defender up against brawlers like Miko, like Lily, like this thing here called Shade. I mean, it's even sometimes banned even over Cordelius on this map because of what of a hidden threat it is, but we don't see it enough here in East Asia, so I'm glad to see some foreign influence here on Momotaru. Now though, the early game here has been going terrible for Momotaru. They've lost both side lanes, the barrier isn't doing well, and there's the penetration there coming in from Feasible Gaming. They're using Rujao as a suicide bomb, battering ram to get through that Jackie, and the first layer of shielding goes down.
It's worked, but along the way, they fed that first super to Jackie, and now she gets to get that cycle going. Thankfully, Nem has gotten out of the way, but Jackie has a pretty good read on where Nem is. Has the survivability to stay alive, too, despite Nem using that super and getting additional damage. Little avoidant behavior here from Kaze to stay away from Sun, who did claim 1 life, now defended once more by the Jackie. Doesn't really feel like Feasible Gaming Zero have that many options because they're stretched thin. The aggression from Kaze is simply overwhelming. In fact, almost dropped Feasible Gaming Zero to 50%. Meanwhile, they still got to get through Jackie somehow.
Rujao is the solution once again, and now it's a coordinated effort there between him and Sun. But now a double pull in there, but the save actually kind of griefing the Jackie. The last shot was unable to connect because of the pushback timing. That's a great use of the save's shield by Feasible Gaming there. Not even sure if it was intentional. That's gonna seal the deal for them. Feasible Gaming, they're gonna get one on the board.
They're finally here to play Feasible Gaming. And Momotaru, well, I was watching the player cams. You guys couldn't see it, but I could. And you could kind of see them start to accept defeat there. Perhaps unsure of what exactly they did wrong, since they're really just trying to do the same thing that they did in game number 1. Play defensive with that Jackie. They also won the similar matchups. They just didn't have that offensive power that they did in previous games. Also, look how cautiously Feasible Gaming Zero is playing around the Jackie. They're deciding, no, it's not really worth it to run this forward. Jackie's also acutely aware of where Nim's going. Now looking for the pinch with Kaze towards the top side. And, someone get the yakety sacks going, because it's just literally Nem running away, Jackie trying to rotate over. That was probably the worst super I've seen in a week. And I have actually forgotten all about what Momotaru was doing.
Oh my god, 90-degree super mythic level play from him. Oh my god, oh my goodness, no. The Yakety Sax needs to start playing for sure. This Jackie is inside his head. Alright, Nem's at least gonna catch a break here. He's gonna be able to transfer himself on the right lane, but that's gonna punish their defense. Sun's gonna be the first one to go down here, and I've got the Barry being the consistent damage dealer that he is. This is why I can even just come back here, defend up against Nem, and then he's nestled back inside the base, being the good old defender that he is. You got the Jackie, old school Jackie versus new school Jackie. Old school remains supreme.
And she's going to keep that chain going, but she's got to find that target now, looking to suck in Nem, but won't be able to chain a super off of it. Meanwhile, Barry's like, sorry, I'm needed on the other side of the map. I cannot be bothered to defend against Nem. And so it's just Jackie left alone versus Rujao, who does have damage resistance and will be able to lock in some damage. Also, now coming in with the blender, spin them all around, and now drop this down to 50% with the assistance from Sun. Meanwhile, though, Momotaru are laying into the enemy side. They've gotten the advantage. They are matched on the tempo as far as the shield goes, and that could actually fall into Feasible Gaming Zero's favor pretty soon, but they have advantage for now.
Off the backs of that amazing hypercharge there from Rujao, they've actually been able to almost completely tie it up. I say that just as the Kaze goes in for a big play there to take down that last layer of shielding, but there's Rujao now in the front line. I think he's very close to the hypercharge here, just suicides there onto the Jackie there, but it's forced the entirety of the Feasible Gaming roster back. They had to deal with the Kaze. Now Sun is just running in desperately, wants to get the last kill, but poetically, you can't stop the Jackie, and the last layer of shield was strong enough that Momotaru are now 2 sets up against Feasible Gaming Zero.
I won't lie, I got a little worried for Momotaru there towards the end, because you see the Jackie suck everyone in, and I go oh no, they're pulling the shade closer. And then I was reminded, oh wait, there's a shield, but also that was really risky. Why did you do that? They're not going to be punching through all that damage through the shield, but it got me a little bit nervous, I won't lie. Let's take a look back at a moment from this last set as well. These are the final few seconds. It was that exact moment that I was talking about. I was like, bro, what are you doing? It was a margin of just 4% there that kept Momotaru ahead and gave them a second set. One more set. And they'll be the first team from Group B to go to Day 3 of the playoffs.
Oh man, I mean, Momotaru, the drafts so far, I'm given to that. I don't even know if they're necessarily playing better, but as I always mention, Pit Stop is a very strategic map. It's about big movements that your team makes, big decisions about where to place your chess pieces as brawlers, and in this case, the Jackie was all over it. There were some moments where I guess you could say Nem was like a knight in chess, and he was supposed to make the jump across the board, but kind of just, you kind of took the move back. You move, one L shape forward, and then you go back right to the starting position. He did that a few times, and yeah, you lose so much tempo off that. So Crystal Arcade could be the last map that we're going to be seeing Momotaru play today. Feasible Gaming Zero, they've had enough of this Kaze. They're gonna snatch it first pick here. And after these bans, I think it sort of makes sense here. I don't know if Momotaru, the solution to this Kaze is gonna be very similar to what we've already seen Navi pull off today.
Well, they're going to come in with a Lumi for mid and then Hank for a lane. Should be able to impact the Kaze from a distance. In close range, Kaze goes like, I'm going to hit you in the crit zone. And Hank goes, I'm going to hit you with like 6 different torpedoes at once and turn you to a fine red mist. So I think the Hank is a worthy matchup for this Kaze. Should be able to damage through walls on the individual lanes. I just like it in general, but Kaze is going to be going for this Lumi and has plenty of walls to get there. So it's, whoa, okay. Husband and wife now uniting on the same side of the arena. Wow, you know, this is like Reddit wholesome 100, but also you have 2 assassins. Like, what's the math here? Where's your mid?
I'll explain to you the math.
So, you see the Lumi? They really don't like it. Like, they are targeting it as a weakness. And yeah, okay, so I've explained this before in our little reviews here and there, but the concept of tempo applies to Crystal Arcade as well. And this is one of those rare maps where you can actually completely abandon the concept of side lanes. Just keep playing aggressive and force the enemy team to respond. Buy time for your mid to scoop up the gems and then get away. So Janet is the perfect gem carrier for that. She's just so selfish and so safe once she gets the super online. And so the Kaze and the Kenji will indeed be able to punish this Lumi really hard. And so Momotaru, they recognize that. I love this from Momotaru. Oh my god, I'm so excited already. They don't have a gem carrier either. They literally don't have a gem carrier. They're just saying we'll play full aggro, sack the Lumi. Who cares about the defense? We're gonna team wipe you with a hypercharged super from the Kenji and seal the deal. My god, I mean, these are just novel ideas that only East Asia could pull off, and it's really like straight out of an anime.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. Well, okay, so for what it's worth, I think Janet, yeah, should be playing the mid for them. Should be a decently safe mid. It's nothing like revolutionary. For Momotaru, I see this Fang over here, and I think, okay, yeah, like response to the Kenji. We saw this also sort of emerge from East Asia, I think in a previous month of RCL, as a way of dealing with Kenji. Since you do have a stun, you got some respectable damage. And would you look at that, like, immediately works on the left side, and this mid control goes to Momotaru to boot.
Yeah, mid control for the time being, but remember, this is a full-on, just pure aggro on aggro fest. It really doesn't matter who's carrying the gems, because eventually they're just going to be feeding it in the other direction. It just really comes down to whoever wins the final team wipe. So we see 3 gems on the Fang here, and it's just momentary. I mean, and you see now 3 gems on them? Yeah, that's gonna go the other way eventually. It just comes down really to the final team. Rujiao's not even using drop the base, by the way. That's how much respect that he's got. He's got 2 escape mechanisms to try and survive the onslaught of aggro that's coming in here. And so far, it's the Hank. He's barreling it down, going all the way in there. Might be turning onto Sun next. He's still got a super as well. Gonna be using that to stay alive. But Nem in the back, the assassination onto the Lumi. Oh my god, it's just an assassin's fest going on here.
Nem has been destroying these backlines from Momotaru, consistently finding his way onto the... What is Rujiao doing, man? Just jump right into Lumi, into Destiny. You know, Icarus flying a little close to the sun. Whoa, Nem's close to be taken down. A moment longer for Fang's life, and that actually would have been a countdown interruption. It goes to Feasible Gaming Zero, though. They have managed to stall this sweep from Momotaru for a brief moment here. And just based on what we have seen from Kaze alone, I would go ahead and give this set to them.
Yeah, for sure. I think Feasible Gaming Zero here, it's like, I think they had the lead in the draft the entire way. I think this Lumi is just way too much of a liability. But I gotta give props to Momotaru for coming up with this Fang idea at the very last second. They might be able to cheese themselves a victory. We see them once again, similar interaction going there. But it's a different one. Yeah, Sun takes the win here on that right lane. Now Rujiao, beautiful dodge there up against that Fang's long range kick there. This is now starting to look more and more convincing for the Feasible Gaming roster.
Feasible Gaming Zero have some pretty good matchups for themselves. We've also seen the lane swap, where Fang is now versus Kenji on the right side. Just works so much better for Fang. in that matchup than he did versus Kaze. On the left side, though, she goes invis, miss torpedo from Hank. He's trying to catch up, but it's difficult when he's missing HP and he's getting battered now. Sun in with the super. Ooh, this time, though, Hank finds the upper hand with the assistance of Lumi. You see Rijal barely stay alive. A super out from Lumi, but it's still too late. This is not looking so good for Momotaru at the moment. They've had some good ideas, they've had some abilities, but they're just barely off. Here comes a hypercharge in from Nem once again. No kill just yet. Oh, firing back from Hank. Make that double. Now Feng in with the hypercharge to claim one final life, and things are now back in Momotaru's favor.
They're just one gem away from countdown, but as I said, countdowns are really deceptive in this game. 5 to 5 gems. Either one of these guys could go down here. It's the Lumi that has to play sacrifice here. It's the first one to fall up against them. Now the Hank has to pop the torpedoes to stay alive. Hypercharge super from Rujao. He's just trying to get the bombs to go in. Not enough. 100 HP, 400 HP. They both survive. Momotaru now on match point.
They're smiling, but there's no celebration just yet. Because I don't think they expected themselves to get to this stage. Somehow they made it through a ridiculously difficult opponent in the very first round. And they're on the verge of qualifying to the top 4 from RCL. They've made some repeat appearances going down quite early in these final stages. Now they could make it to the biggest stage of all. Momotaru, just one game separates them. Feasible Gaming Zero, though, have proven themselves worthy of taking a set off of Momotaru. And I was honestly ready to award it to them just based on their Game 1 performance alone. Momotaru barely clutched up in Game number 2. And they started things off by having pretty much the optimal lane matchups. We'll see Fang just trying to hold lane versus Kaze over here. I think Kenji is way more optimal for him, and he's going to try and hold position. But I don't think he'd be too opposed if Kenji went for the 1v1 versus him. All 3 brawlers from Feasible Gaming Zero collapse onto that right side, and they have control of the whole map.
We're seeing a bit of a slight change of philosophy from the side of Momotaru. They seem to be investing their positioning to try and defend the Lumi a little bit better, use him as damage dealing sword while the Fang fires off, goes out on missions. Now the target is the Janet. They've cornered her inside the base. A long range kick will do the trick. Rujao, there's no way you can backstage pass off the map, my dear. There's nowhere to go. The backstage pass won't save you there. Somehow we've got Sun inside the base here. Hello there. Sashimi slash goes across the Fang there, gets the connection. Big one from him. Boom, another stun onto Nem. Assassins ain't got nothing on this man with the kicks. He is the OG assassin tank, showing them who's boss.
I'm concerned for Momotaru right now. They're just one gem away from starting this countdown. They could use another one on Fang to stay alive. Feasible Gaming Zero now have that hypercharge from Kenji. That's going to be the stun for Fang. Still fighting to stay alive. Stays away. No predictable movement, but in comes Nem. No, he didn't use a super in time to get away. Rujao does have a fistful of gems, though. He's making his way back to the Feasible Gaming Zero side. Momotaru know they're safe and sound right now. 10 seconds to go, and there's a hypercharge from Nem that could spell disaster.
It's going to be a big defense from them. Now hypercharge super there from them, but the Fang, it works. The last pick from Momotaru once again comes in clutch for them. The idea theorized, seasons ago, the celebration finally coming out there from Momotaru. I believe Niadesu, he knows he's qualified for day 3.
Get your dose of potassium in you, man. You deserve it. Man had the courage to show up on the cams, pull off such an incredible victory. Whoa! I didn't realize there was Eevee there the whole time. Well, I guess we did get a plushie cam in the end. Congratulations, Momotaru, on a 3-0 sweep over Feasible Gaming Zero. And look at that. These last couple of sets were mad scrappy, man. Went all the way to game number 3. Set number 3 blew me away with some of those exciting moments. Let's take a trip down recent, short-term memory lane.
Oh man, the last final seconds there from Rujao trying to, weather the storm there in the air, and then just barely not be able to get the reset there. And then this final cute moment there, he has Suns in the background. Hi there, Nem comes in. Oh, I'm gonna join you in hell as well. Then this final push here. Oh man, I mean, it's really just Fang changing it off here. I mean, who knew that the husband and wife would share a common enemy. It's not Tara, guys. Change the comic. Change the Kenji comic. It's not Tara. It is this man with the kicks.
Dude had some killer kicks as well. The flip-flops were going crazy today. He pulled off, well, the best KD on the team, but that is because his teammates did nearly have like a 1-in-1 KD when you ratio it all the way down. Though look at that damage from Fang. This was what the doctor ordered. Momotaru, they got away with, I said the word so many times, but I'll say it again, reactively drafting into Feasible Gaming 0. And it worked literally every single time. Feasible Gaming 0, I think, just like left holes open in their draft. Momotaru also like didn't go for traditional bans, you know, left like some key things open that allowed them to pull off the brawler selections like they did.
Incredible. And now they punch a ticket onto day 3. I'm really happy for them, honestly. Like, I think when we first saw them in season 4 as that late comer, you know, barely being able to qualify. I believe they had one of the strangest qualification experiences. They had to have knocked out. Was it effort result? Was it a top tier team? It had to have been. I think it was even Rival. I think they did beat Rival or something. I can't remember. But I know that in that final month where we had 2 newcomers in the form of Genji and Momotaru, Momotaru was the one that went the distance. They beat out Genji in order to qualify here. And here they are, 3-0ing Feasible Gaming 0. Reverse. Was it reverse sweep? No, 3-2, denying Navi's reverse sweep there, and now they're qualified for the ultimate gauntlet, and they're seed 1. So, based on this, their first opponent tomorrow will be, I believe it's gonna be Rival Esports. No, it's gonna be Rejects. Is it gonna be Reject? We're gonna have to recap the day 1 bracket, but did they just accidentally... Did they just get a date with Reject? They did, right?
Well, yeah, we can take a look back at day number 1 and see how this turns out, because seed number 1 is going to face seed number 2 from the opposing side. So Momotaru is going to have to play Reject, unfortunately, and whoever wins this next match is going to have to face Rival Esports.
Well, folks, it could be Feasible Gaming 0 or it could be Na'Vi. We're gonna have to find out. So far, Na'Vi's path of rampage in the lower bracket hasn't been stopped. They've cleaved through one in the form of effort result, and now they're the ones that want to show some revenge. They're gonna help. You know, now they're gonna embody the spirit of effort result, right? Feasible Gaming 0, they beat effort result, kind of, you know, had a bit of a spanking on them. It's now Na'Vi's turn to show them who's boss.
Okay, well, let's get started in the draft phase. Na'Vi, Feasible Gaming 0, both of them have one more life to expend here. And would it be any more fitting that they get things started on the same map that starts pretty much every single match, which is Hideout? Looking at some of these bans, Na'Vi go for super targeted bans. The last time we saw bans such as this is what you called it, Spoo, is you see the wall break has been banned in Brog. There's like not really good wall break remaining. Bell also taken out of the mix. Thankfully for the case of Na'Vi, or rather unthankfully I suppose, the Bonnie has been banned by Feasible Gaming 0, so good read by Feasible Gaming. It means that Na'Vi are going to have to sort of alter course, and they go for the support in Jae-Yong instead. This is characteristic Na'Vi. They love to go for the aggressive stuff and for the synergistic picks.
Wow, and you know what I'm gonna say, right? I don't like Squeak. I've never liked Squeak. I don't think it's great here. And I think there's a lot of ways to break this. Na'Vi, if they spot the Hank Byron immediately here, literally stealing just loot, wholesale loot, the Toxic Lotus come from the Brawl Cup, it just works here. I mean, nah, they're not gonna do it wholesale. Yeah, they're gonna do it a little bit, you know, more Na'Vi style here. It's gonna be a Kyle here to punish that immediate Squeak selection, and that's gonna be the brawler that's gonna snatch up the blue star. They don't even need to use Flying Hook, by the way. They've already got the Jae-Yong for the move speed to get that done. So now, as that last pick, they probably need some kind of, you know, range coverage that they're looking for. Wouldn't mind a Gus. Honestly, wouldn't even mind a Byron here to just join in that mix and just pile on the heals to get the Jae-Yong, just add to the level of sustainability ability they already have. Now it's going to be the Gus. They prefer the aggressive option here, the most selfish pick here that can be done.
Yeah, just, you know, the same old safe stuff. Also competitive at range with Angelo, should outrange that Squeak. I'm looking at stuff from Navi that's good into Squeak, because what is a Squeak going to do against a Carl? Well, Squeak is going to, I'll tell you what it's going to do. It's going to donate stars to the Carl as soon as the Carl decides to gadget in or super in. You'll see that Kuru is staying also on the heat ejector gadget because don't really want to be flying hooking into these guys. Just go for the additional damage. Also needs to be cautious around this Gray, who can yank you forward. You may be able to ban out some wall break, but Navi didn't commit as hard as the previous team that attempted the strategy of going ahead and, you know, getting rid of the Brock's form of wall break, because they went ahead and picked up the Gray. This time it's been left to Feasible Gaming 0, but it's so late in the draft that doesn't really synergize with anything.
It's the selfish Gray. It's the way to stop out this, you know, tailspin there from the Carl. But I'm going to be honest, it's a desperation pick to me. I mean, I really don't like Squeak, and I just hope it loses just so that it proves my point even further. At the moment, it's doing fairly well, though. I mean, looks like it's managed to get early pressure going there. But so long as Navi weather the storm here, they should be okay. But Sun with the first GP of the game. Nem's going to be looking for another kill of his own here. Managed to even just walk out of there. Ryohei didn't want to pursue completely.
You'll also see that Choppy decided to swap off of the heat ejector, go for the flying hook instead, because he want that blue star first. And they attempted to control the pace of the match here, but were unable to fend off that first push from Feasible Gaming 0. They lost one of their number. It's in Feasible Gaming 0's hands now. And they have some pretty good defensive options. Angelo has good range, solid damage. Rujao also should be able to slow things down. Relies on people playing into him, which works just fine when you have the advantage in terms of stars. But now Feasible Gaming 0 has been pushed in. Choppy's just going to go for it. Flying hook style. Now he's looking for the escape. Nem being forced back by Kuru. Hypercharge teleport in from Sun. And the damage has been split up evenly across the Navi roster. Wonderful stuff. They're tanking for each other and keeping their team alive as a whole. But now they find themselves back up into the back right.
That was a beautiful extraction from there. Now Choppy making the sacrifice play in order to buy the team the space necessary. Another sacrifice there from Ryohei made as well. It was a small trade being made, but they do hold the star lead at the moment. That gives them the advantage, allows them to play defensively. Rujao is not, you know, this is a Squeak. This is not a Carl. It doesn't really have much ability to you know, just cross the distance there. So it's really going to be relying on Sun here to try and make the difference.
Just a few seconds to go, and now comes a hypercharge from Nem, looking for Kuru, but he's shielded on the right side. Choppy is looking for more. Takedown for Sun, and my goodness, what a last-second comeback from Feasible Gaming 0. 2 members at the brink of defeat, and yet they get a kill and survive by a hair's width.
Not like this, Navi. Not like this. The same way that effort result lost to Feasible Gaming 0. The final second win seemed to be a Feasible Gaming 0 special. And it's infuriating. I mean, I don't hate them. I just hate Squeak.
Well, it's working. Maybe that's what you hate so much about it, is that you feel wrong. I am a Squeak supporter for my part, but I do feel like Navi should be winning this still. This one was absolutely pulled out from underneath them like a tablecloth magic trick. They were totally rug pulled by Feasible Gaming 0. Navi should get this advantage back. They have the width of a couple stars separating them from Feasible Gaming 0, and they possess the blue star as well. So all looks pretty well for Navi, but you'll see they're gradually falling back. They're struggling to keep this ground, and they're at risk of being teleported on by the Gray.
Sun was a huge playmaker in that previous game. One of the big reasons that they were able to get so many of those clean up kills. It puts Navi in a position where if they commit, they always have to be worried about Sun. Gonna be able to get some of those kills on the return. But this so far, though, looks like a much better defensive position. They're almost even going to be getting a solo kill on that left lane. Nem had to gadget to get out of there. Kuru continues this 1 versus 1 here on the left. Completely dominant, while on the right lane, though. Big jump there from Sun. The commitment is out there. Finds Ryohei. Rujao with the long range bombardment. Was able to catch that one.
Navi are spending so much time on defense, and they're not able to get a kill out of it. Feasible Gaming Zero just needs one more. Choppy's going to go for it. Rizhao's so vulnerable. Choppy managed to avoid a lot of that damage, but still gets taken down. But Navi trade across away. That's another one for Feasible Gaming Zero. Kuru's got to make some magic happen. Look for the long-range kill with the use of a hypercharged super, but it's still no dice. Kuru pulled in. Feasible Gaming Zero ahead by 3 stars, and that's good enough to keep them in the lead and give them the set win. 2-0 versus Navi.
I need to take a walk.
Go for it, man. Go for it. You know, we'll throw in some replays while you do it. If you need to stand up, you can.
How?
How? I mean, just first of all, love letter to a Choppy. Why are we waiting for 30 seconds before we go in to defend? And then second of all, I mean, this defense, by the way, was really good by Sun. I mean, this was just amazing, honestly, from Feasible Gaming Zero there. Just being able to interrupt the tailspin there, these was opportune time there. But I gotta feel that, you know, it could have been baited a little bit better there. I mean, this just felt like a player, you know, I don't want to say issue there, but mistake there made there in those split seconds. And a second game there, you mentioned it. Navi were on defense for such a long time, but I mean, do they not realize that Feasible Gaming Zero are playing for the literal same timing and they need a bigger buffer? I mean, they lost 2 games in a row the exact same way. It just felt like they didn't learn their lessons.
I think that they are aware. It's just that they were incapable of getting a respectable buffer is all. Like, look, everyone loves to have more stars, but Navi were just not able to do it. I swear I heard you like shiver as soon as you saw the cat selected.
Yes. Yes, you did. Oh, no. No way, Navi. Navi, please. I mean, is this how they're gonna be down 2 sets? Alright. It's not over yet. They've beaten the kit once. They beat it against Effort Result, and looks like they're going for a similar structure here, right? So they did the Nita idea previously against the kit. It was successful, but to be fair, they ended up that comp with a Mortis. Don't think that's gonna be the pattern here. Okay, good that Navi immediately snatch up the Draco here. Don't never give Kit Draco to be a parry here on this map. It's just too big of a menace here. But still, this, I don't know, every time I just see a Kit, I feel like it's so difficult to draft around. I mean, I'm just thinking on Feasible Gaming, there's so many things that they can go here to synergize with this. They can go for Melody if they really wanted to, just get dives go in there. Shade is still available. There's just so many good picks to go with this.
Here it comes. What? You know what?
Oh
cool.
My god,
yeah,
it
sure.
works.
Go for it.
Oh
on Hot Potato, it does work. Also, taking the Lily away from Navi is just heat right here. Even before Lily had a hypercharge, this was like a god tier pick on Hot Potato, if you ask me, just because of the presence of the bushes. Though I think it still has a possibility to struggle into the Draco and the Nita both, because I don't care who you are, you don't want to be taking a bunch of Draco Flames to the face, and Lily doesn't really have the health to withstand it. There's the Bonnie who will be getting like some super for free off of this, but how do Navi plan on keeping eyes on the bushes and being aware of the kit's presence?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just sending you a file right now, and this summarizes my thoughts on the match.
Dang.
There we go. It's anti-jinx protection here. Okay, let's think here. How
this is a
can
bracket
Navi...
for day 3. It has Momotaru winning. Are you sure you sent me the right thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop leaking the script, man.
Yeah. The Momotaru wins it all tomorrow. Anyways, yeah, this is totally not live anymore. I love the Ems pick coming out here from Feasible Gaming Zero. I shat on their squeak pick here, but I'm gonna give credit where credit is due here. Ems, it was literally the best pick there. But as soon as this Draco plus this Nita comes out, yeah, you're gonna see the Sun get tremendous amounts of value here. Yeah, they're just ignoring him. That's the plan. Navi are just like, all right, all in, hyper pair, active, go, and it works. And this time, Feasible Gaming, they're actually behind. They're not winning this base race. Already. Oh no! Feasible Gaming, they can't do basic math. You're down by 1 tempo. This doesn't work. No!
What? Don't leave the Nita Bear alone, man. I think we all know this. And that's got to be the final push in for Navi. Just like such a disastrous defense from Feasible Gaming Zero. They hold on by 17%, but Navi is so far ahead. Ryohei, please put them out of their misery. For whatever reason, Kit is like, nah, I actually want to play several more seconds of gameplay, even though I know exactly what's going to happen. What is going on here, man? I wanted to like tear my eyes out and throw them in the trash after seeing a total ignorance of the power of a hypercharged Nita Bear.
Okay, it's the role confusion. It happens when you're between the ages of 20 and 30 and you're not sure what to do and you happen to be playing in M's. So,
teenagers would make this
will tell
mistake.
you all about it. Yeah, you know. I mean, okay, look, the Sun was just on the wrong position here. I mean, the whole idea behind playing this kit is you're supposed to be playing control. You're supposed to be defending. I don't know why Sun ditched the defense there. I mean, now he's gonna get tapped up by Ryohei plus Kuru. I'm starting to understand why this Bonnie last pick was, you know, a thing. It's there to punish this M's pick in particular as of a weakness. So at the moment, Navi are leading by an entire shielding in percentage, and that's always a big deal. But Ru Zhao with the first stun of the game, hypercharged Jacoby out there, now chaining off onto a Chappie. Unfortunately, it was not hypercharged, so couldn't really get the solo kill there by himself. Nonetheless, though, Nem manages to even the odds here. He's still got a hypercharged super. But then, where's that going? What?
Oh, no, poor Spoo's gonna lose his mind just as a result of this one set. Navi are falling behind at the moment. Kuru at least is able to get a hypercharge stun there and create the aggression onto the safe once more. He's also fighting for his life, decides, you know what, actually I'm going to go in for one final shot and opt to play defense with his super when he respawns. There it comes. One more shield now taken down off of Feasible Gaming Zero safe. Another super in from Kuru. Clears the way for Ryohei to steamroll on through with a hypercharge. Feasible Gaming Zero, they start to correct on their mistakes far too late, and Navi get the set.
Look, chat, I'm gonna be real with you. All right, somewhere about the third match of the day, I literally dozed off halfway and woke up every time it was my turn to speak. This match, though, has raised my blood pressure so high that I'm gonna have nightmares. Nem. You gotta fix that auto aim button, man. I mean, Nem. Come on, let's have a talk. Like, pit stop earlier, he with 3 supers back-to-back, 90-degree supers off the mark, didn't hit anything. Here is a hypercharged super. He was right beside a Chappie. He was right beside him. Could have sent him into the realm, gotten the kill, gotten the chain up on the safe. It would have been clean, bought the time for his team to come back. I mean, I'm seeing a fat egg on Ru Zhao, 0% save damage, but I know who to blame for this. Goodness.
Yeah, we saw what Feasible Gaming Zero had to offer, and we were so hopeful. Also, the M's, like, this is... Okay, I know what you're thinking, chat. It's, like, not too far out there. This is actually a good selection as long as you have the optimal matchups. Into Draco, into Nita. This cooks, man. Like, this is a good selection, and you can see that it did perform. Had great defensive capabilities, but when it came to the offense, yeah, I don't think... Our offensive brawlers were really carrying the banner the way they needed to.
Yeah, I feel the Lily last pick. I mean, it seemed like it was doing quite a lot of impact, but I think that's where it kind of really starts to fall short for there. They didn't really account for the Bonnie last pick that could potentially come in from Navi to really neuter a lot of the strength of this M's here. And I think Navi, they made a great read there. I'm going to give them full props for that. Yeah. I'm rescinding some of my earlier comments and now headed into Crystal Arcade. Wow. Immediately, a Sandy is going to be picked up plus this Crow. This is a very different way of, you know, dealing with the Kaze selection. So far, we've seen Navi deal with Intuis, right? So they've taken the bull in Hard Rock Mine. That's the Kaze solution we saw there. We saw, obviously, earlier, Momotaru with a fantastic last pick clutch Fang to be the answer to the Kaze. But now we're not convinced by that. So Crow and Sandy is the math for them. It's a little bit lacking in damage department at the moment, so I'm a little bit concerned for them.
Okay, Janet also from Feasible Gaming Zero, just being safe at the moment. Feasible Gaming Zero, how do they plan on playing this Janet? Like, clearly along a lane, I think. I feel like Bonnie's just a better mid here. Janet would be a safe brawler to put on there. You know what? Actually, I take it back. We'll put Bonnie on lane. I think that's what Feasible Gaming Zero are going to go for. Kenji, final selection from Navi. And I like this a lot. Reason being, the only thing that can actually shut this down, realistically speaking, is Akaze. And that's because she crits at close range. Aside from that, none of these picks from Feasible Gaming Zero should be able to deal with Kenji. Not nearly as much as, say, like the Chester was able to do earlier on Double Swoosh.
Yeah, but it's a bit strange though. I mean, usually you go Kenji when there's a vulnerable mid that you can keep diving for, like a Lumi and stuff like that. In this case, I mean, I'm seeing 3 matchups that he's okay into. I guess Ryohei is truly just the best Kenji in Japan, and he just wants to play Golden Kenji right now and wants to show that G versus Kaze is a matchup that, well, Kenji does indeed win, and he understands the matchup. Oh, okay, he just sliced them in half. No mercy to the wife there. Ryohei now steps up, destroys his lane, now goes to help out the mid and that left lane. But it's a 1 versus so far. I'll keep the husband versus wife tally in my head.
Okay, yeah, you keep track of that, and I'll watch the important thing, which is how many gems are being acquired by Feasible Gaming Zero. Because so far they've got 6. Ryohei went for the super in. Honestly, probably would have been a good idea for Nim to go ahead and die there so that Rujao could pick up the gems, but whatever. At least he's going to be done a favor by Ryohei as he pursues the Kaze to the ends of the earth so that Rujao can hold all 6 gems over his head, while also sitting on this super as a backup sort of safety.
Big jump there from Sun with the hypercharge to go into the backline onto Kuru, but nice stutter step there from Kuru to just completely dodge it out there. Pretty difficult to land that Bonnie jump onto such a fast target like the Crow. Gotta be a little bit lucky there. We see husband versus wife clashing out again once again, but Nem's just not interested. Yep, nope, ditching the husband fight here. Goes on the other side, slaps a Sharpie in the face with that hypercharge. Instant lane swap from him as well. Leaves Ryohei in a bit of an awkward spot up against his Bonnie. He doesn't really mind this matchup, but he will feed a fair bit of shots to him. Rujao pops the hypercharge there. Had some ideas to snatch up that gem and potentially try to go for a kill onto Kuru, but hope this doesn't bite him backwards here. That's a big defensive resource that he no longer has.
Cycled super for Nem. Oh, takedown. That's not good for Nem at all. He's got to stay outside of this super down from Sandy. That's going to be another takedown. This pile of gems in the back left corner. Only barely some of these are snagged by Janish. He's able to get the takedown on Ryohei, but this countdown still goes to Navi. That said, they don't have the tempo. Well, they have the lead, but they are not ahead by enough. Kuru now in 11 gems. That's going to be enough. A kill for Ryohei. That looks wonderful. And Navi are safe and sound. Sun can do his worst, but Kuru is able to jump away to safety, and that's going to be a game win for Navi.
There were moments of brilliance there, I think, from Feasible Gaming, but it was really just moments. Navi were the one with the more sort of solid plan there. Yes, the early game was sort of going slightly better for Feasible Gaming, but that's really because you doubled up Janet plus Bonnie on side lanes to really punish the early game of a Chappie. But once those sandstorms started to come online, it was all pretty much over there. All right, I need to update the counter. There we go.
Yep. You keep track of that. Once again, you keep track of the husband versus wife tally. I'll just look at who's winning the match because it's not like there's tons of money on the line for the winner of this match to make it to the final stage. They'd be the last team to qualify for the playoffs tomorrow. It's going to be Sun going down at the hands of a Choppy, and Kuru, the mid-brawler, picking up whatever gems he can carry. Also attempting to get some poison going on a Rujao. He's going to be successful this time, and Rujao decides, you know what, I'm going to trade out some HP, a little bit of control for gem number 4. But Navi are all up on this point. They're in middle, and Feasible Gaming Zero doing their best to surround them. Once again, Sun in with a hypercharged Bonnie super, but will come just short of stunning someone. Kuru evades fate once more.
Yeah, Kuru, man, just really fleet-footed here. But yeah, I mean, this time, even up against Nem, managing to stop him thanks to... Oh, and you added to the counter. Yep. Ryohei getting the final slash over there. You're going to be quite surprised when you see a counter at the end of the game, by the way. I think you'll be quite shocked at this statistic. But here we go. I just look like really hates her. I mean, she's just going once again. Okay, now he's finally going back onto Sun. Kuru is going to be dropping really low here, though. Finally, the jump there from Sun is successful. Even managing to go back into his cannon for one more shot. Will be able to get him the jump. Ryohei has to pop the hypercharge super, but that might be a mistake. The hypercharge repositioned him back inside the clutches of Feasible Gaming. Thankfully, Kuru, though, managed to scoop up 6 of those gems. They need to at least bring down just Akaze to start some sort of a reset going.
10 seconds to go. Sun's got the super. He's going to use this in a defensive manner. Kuru could use a super here. He's got it. Hypercharge style to the back right. Rugel up to the skies, but the gems are left still on the ground. Sun is hotly in pursuit of these brawlers on the right side, but they're alive and healthy. Sun isn't very fast either, and no gadget to use right now. Could be a super in. Ryohei is going to find his shield expiring as well. Kuru vulnerable. Just 2 seconds to go. Sun misses on the super. Had that hypercharge in the final second, but had nothing to use it for. And Na'Vi stays ahead by a slim margin of a single set.
Man, whenever I see Ryohei play Kenji up against Kaze, I'm convinced that it wins the matchup super hard. And after I tell you the stats, you're gonna believe me why as well. And then I pick it in my, bronze level games, and somehow I can't win the matchup on either side. I don't win as Kenji, I don't win as Kaze. I'm starting to think I'm the problem here. But yeah, in case you want to know, Kenji 6, Kaze 0.
Okay. Kenji wins versus Kaze. Interesting. Okay, you know what? I'll eat my words here. I thought that Kaze was going to work decently into Kenji. I was like, well, in close range, like technically she should be able to crit him. But also he like heals up, so it makes sense. Nem on the suicide mission repeatedly did get like sort of middle of the pack damage for the roster, but just didn't create the space that Feasible Gaming 0 needed. Na'Vi really descended upon Feasible Gaming 0 in the final moments. Like, Feasible Gaming 0 could have equalized the set in terms of games, but they didn't have the survivability. Really only Rugel had an escape mechanism or like some control-based gameplay. Just didn't work out for them. Case open and shut. Na'Vi with a 1-set lead and 1 set away from qualifying.
One step away from making day 3 and joining our 3 other teams already. We finally got a new map here. And okay though, it's the Bobby map, and guess what made it through? 2 of the brawlers. Oh no. Are we going to a set 5? Can I say it that way? Now we have beaten the odds, right? They've already beaten the kit once. Maybe this will dissuade Feasible Gaming 0 from going for it. But knowing them, I think they realize that they can't let it through the pool either, and they'll most likely be forced to pick it up here.
Okay, so you're saying, look, kitty cat available. What about the mouse? A good old game of cat and mouse, huh? Maybe we see the cat appear at some point. It's the first time that we've seen Mo appear here in the Rival League or Rival Challengers League playoffs. And he is generally pretty good, but he needs to get that hypercharge, and sometimes it can be a pretty serious struggle.
It is it's widely considered to be an instant team wipe button. I have yet to see that actually happen, and I'm elected to believe that the instant team wipe only happens in Mythic and stuff like that. And maybe it's just it's like a clip farming thing. It's not actually the best of the best. But yeah, Willow though, on the other hand, as the premium thrower here, I want to say, they're ignoring the kit. Now it's Navi's turn to show us whether Tom eats Jerry. Like, is it a real thing whereby if you pick it into I mean, this is a genuine question, right? Like, as matchups go, you can space the kit pretty well as the Mo, but then if the kit even allows itself to get close to you even a single time, your run is over. Like, it's pretty GG for the Mo here. And right now Navi gonna be leaning back for the Bonnie selection. On triple dribble, there's that nice open lane there on the left side. It's a fairly uncontested lane, and with the hypercharge online, it always becomes a win condition. They've already got a decent answer for the Willow in the form of this Cordelius and its jump. They just need to play really, really aggressive to make this work. So expect to, just as I said it, they go for a thrower.
Okay.
Guess they were not convinced.
Okay, I wonder if Feasible Gaming 0 will go a cat. I would love for it to happen. It looks like it would be a difficult matchup in Ryohi. Also, you got to get in range to begin with. So how does this work out for Navi? I don't really know. Are they going to pop the healing onto Bonnie? Maybe? I feel like historically, I've seen the Barry matchups be the tougher ones here. But I think that Triple Dribble does have some good corridors that you can fire down to create the pathway with Barry's Ice Cream using a super so that someone can travel down the field, just you have to earn it first. I don't think there are good odds of Navi being overwhelmed by some aggression from Feasible Gaming Zero, so they can pretty much mark that one off. But what are also their goal-scoring conditions? Okay, final selection in, it's going to be that Crow from Feasible Gaming Zero that's going to diminish the healing, so it's the anti-heal. But goal-scoring conditions for Navi, I really only see one, and I see two for Feasible Gaming Zero.
Absolutely right. Feasible Gaming Zero are going to be trying their best to find chaotic ways to play the objective. Use this Willow super because there's really not really much CC that it can do to stop it. But Navi, their win condition is a bit simpler. Just run Feasible Gaming over. This Mo is a bit of a weakness there, for sure. I mean, at the range, it's being out of range here by the Bonnie. Up close, if a Choppy ever gets to run up close, yeah, there we go. It's going to delete him right now. Bang, 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 bang. Auto aim, auto aim, auto aim, and he's dead. That's the weakness of this Mo selection. And now, the only reason why they're still staying up is because Rujao is a thrower, is able to slow down the pace of the game. But that's where Kuru comes in to try and even the odds. Now, Sundo is out and didn't accomplish anything.
Unfortunate. A couple of abilities forward from Feasible Gaming Zero in an attempt to put themselves in a favorable position, and ends up with Nem just finding himself overextended, but at least he has a hypercharge. Those daggers are going to go through walls when he uses it. He's pretty close to his super as well, just by, my feeling. We'll see the hypercharge in from Kuru. Ends up being majorly cut short with that ice cream just not going where it's supposed to go. This ball will travel over to a Choppy, though. Work down the clock just a little bit, and that's goal number 1 for Navi.
The plan is working in their favor. Feasible Gaming Zero have yet to find that critical sort of play. Nem is now trying to make that one just by himself. Tried to pass the ball over, but just it's a little bit too slow there. A Choppy manages to get the cleanup going here. It's a full team wipe from them. A good attempt there from Feasible Gaming, but this should not be able to be sufficient to stop it. Okay, the mind control on the real here, and then just passing the ball back into the goal, but it's just one. I mean, you can mind control one member, but I guess, imagine Willow hypercharge, you get to control the whole team. Yeah, the game would break. You can't program a game like that, but that would be the only way to stop that goal there.
Now that would be interesting. Yeah, like the Gene hypercharge, except you control everyone, and they all move in unison. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Maybe that can be like something for a future collab. She controls everyone in a radius or something. Whatever. There are more important things to discuss because Navi are only one game away from going ahead to the playoffs and sending Feasible Gaming Zero out. From the upper bracket, Feasible Gaming Zero has fallen, and they could fall further. A Choppy is going to try and generate a goal here. The healing is good, but he did not have the ability to score a goal there. Not versus Rujao, even if he used his super to eliminate Rujao from a goalie position.
I was looking like the beginning of the end there for Feasible Gaming Zero. Could have been GG right there and then, but just really, really quick thinking from there. Now what Choppy, that's the first super of the game that he's with so far. Nem really, really nicely fleet-footed here. Now Sun continues to just be bullied here, wondering why he's a Mo on this map and why he really exists here. What is the meaning of life? The jump goes across and there it is. Wow, Feasible Gaming are contemplating life. The goal has already happened. There's nothing that they can do to stop this. They've swapped the lanes for the Mo to be on the left side, but the Choppy's already there to punish. Now Sun finally starts to get some value in here, but Rio has got plans of his own. Hypercharge super, and he completely cleans out, and the trick shot passes it across to Kuru to secure day 3.
From the brink of defeat, Navi find their way through here versus Feasible Gaming Zero. A 3-1 victory. And they looked very convincing doing so. They only dropped one set on their path to victory in this match. And what a day it's been. Finally, a smile crosses Kuru's face. Yep, job's done. Get the camera out of here. Not in my face, not anymore. And look at that. Like, Feasible Gaming 0, they got that first set so confidently, I'm like, oh my goodness, they might have a real game for us. And Navi says, nope, we're going to win 6 games in a row. Pretend that that first one didn't even happen.
And that first one was, to me,
It's pretty
it
close.
didn't happen, right? No, close, squeak, Achapi, wake up, hello, like, do something. Nah, I'm just kidding. Achapi tried his best there, and frankly, the squeak wasn't all that half bad. And Feasible Gaming 0, they had one win con and they played to it really well. Looking at the replays here, yeah, there was that cheeky moment there where Ryohei was controlled there. He could have cleared the ball. He actually could have cleared the ball there, but I think just panicked and threw the ball back into the goal there. Then here was the one where they tried to stop it in the final goal of the game there. Just, that was beautiful. I mean, Kuru didn't even get to steal the goal off Ryohei there. Couldn't take his thunder away from him. But, yeah. 2-3 Mo Willow on this map. Not convinced. Not convinced at all.
Yeah, it's the hazard of Mo. There's a reason you don't see him played that much, because he struggles a lot when he doesn't have that hypercharge. And we saw Sun actually get the Mo hypercharge. It's just that by the time that he did, there is a Willow deep in their backlines, and he never got the chance to use it. People say it's a guaranteed team wipe, but you gotta get it first, and that is the hazard. Feasible Gaming 0, they, played something that was a little higher execution than they were able to offer.
I mean, I don't even know. I mean, you could give this comp to SK Gaming or Humble and they would stare at you blankly, I think. I just don't think the pick is... I don't think Mo is there yet. By design here, I feel that it 2-3... Especially, it feels like the pick order is a little bit off. I mean, if you stared at this draft, you might be elected to think that Crow was selected. Maybe maybe this is a Willow first pick, and then you had like a 4-5 Mo plus a Crow to deal with some kind of Barry shenanigans. But no, it's actually backwards. So that's how you know that the draft, like, when you can't comprehend the pick order just by looking at it, that's how you know that most likely the draft itself isn't really very coherent. So yeah, now we take the cake. And two of our teams have qualified, and walk us through this bracket, really.
Man, what a day it was. We started off with a crazy upset with Momotaru taking set number 5 versus Navi to go on to the upper bracket final. They were eventually met there after the second match, where Effort Result was taken down 1-3 by Feasible Gaming 0. We had 2 upsets to start off the day, and then in yet another upsetting goodbye, we had to say so long to Effort Result, a repeat team in the top 4 in Rival Challengers League, go down at the hands of Navi 3-1. In the upper bracket final, Momotaru swept Feasible Gaming 0 3-0. They only lost a couple games along the way. And in the lower bracket final, Navi just moments ago sent Feasible Gaming 0 out of the competition, earned their way to a qualifying spot for day number 3, 3-1, which now means that we have our 4 teams locked in for the final day of the playoffs. Our top 4 is now set in stone. It'll be number 1 seed from Group B, Momotaru, number 2 seed from Group B, Navi. And we'll take a look at the bracket from Group A as well. That was played yesterday. Number 1 seed is Rival Esports, and number 2 is Reject. Now, Spoo, the way this is going to work is number 1 from Group A is going to play number 2 from Group B, and vice versa for the second seed from Group A. So it'll be Reject versus Momotaru, and then Rival Esports versus Navi.
Oh man, I am pumped, right? It has been, what, 6 months in the making for us to get to this point effectively, and there's only one more day left. Sadly or not, it all comes down to this for the players, for us, for these as the viewers, for all of you supporting us in the back and making this happen as well. We thank you once again for sticking us with the journey, and there is still one more day to come. Ready?
There is. It's tomorrow, and it's happening at the same time in the same place here on twitch.tv/ReadySet or youtube.com/c/ReadySet. You can watch it either place. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope to see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. JST. If you're not in JST, you do the math. That's not my job. We'll see you then, folks.